Hi, welcome to my channel. The full version of the audiobook is available on my Patreon. You can quickly find it through the link in my profile description. Thank you for your support.
Chapter 1. In May 2020, the Daijing Haoyuan community of the magic capital of China. Zhang He was beating on the keyboard when the phone suddenly vibrated, and the WeChat alert sounded. He picked it up and glanced at it, and the message from his friend came into view. "Boss, what are you busy with? Are you coming to eat chicken?" Zhang He's right hand continued to dance on the up, down, left and right keys of the keyboard, and his left hand quickly typed on the phone, "No, what's the live broadcast? I wipe, that game generation is not as good as the first generation, still playing. Playing with emotions." The opposite side sent a voice directly, "What kind of weird lineup did you collect this time? The villain, the bald team, the Vicky team or the Sky team?" Zhang He didn't answer, but called up the team list, took a photo and sent it over. Batty, Baggio, Inzaghi, Kaka, Reyes, Beckham, Alonso, Nesta, Maldini, Cannavaro. "What kind of team are you? Are you blinded on the opposite side?" Zhang He said, "I have this idea. It's already 2020, and the youngest Royce is almost 31, so he's really sentimental." The old friend tooted and then began to discuss the lineup, 3 central defenders. "Will both sides be beaten?" Zhang He returned to the game, one hand controlled Maldini, who was holding the ball, and led the opponent striker to circle in the penalty area of his own side, and one hand pressed hold and talk on WeChat to make a voice, "Yen Ji Ti Antoine, it's enough to be pretty, everything else is a cloud. It is strongly recommended to replace Jui with Torres. If necessary, you can use Maldini as a right back and Tony a step back." My friend knew that Zhang He was a Torres fan, and he made a slanted smile after saying that, after all, the most important thing is a good left back. This can be. Besides, since it's a good-looking group, what about Mikasa? That guy is a good-looking god group, fuck. Let's talk about it first. In the game, Maldini's ball was suddenly stolen by Henry, and he was rushing towards Casillas murderously. Putting Casey into this lineup is not only because of his good looks, but also his ability is an important reason, but Zhang He doesn't think he can block the Emperors single-handedly. Even in games. Zhang He threw away the phone, reached back to the keyboard with his left hand, and the phone hit the water glass on the table with a deadly hit. The cup fell and the water inside flew out and spilled over the keyboard. And then, no more. The ghost knows that the mechanical keyboards of thousands of oceans will conduct electricity. Anyway, an inexplicable crossing happened in an equally inexplicable electric shock. In the next life, remember that the phone must be handled with care. At St. Paul's International Hospital, Zhang He looked at self in the mirror and didn't know whether to cry or laugh. The face in the mirror was both familiar and unfamiliar. Familiar because the face was once a household name, unfamiliar because the face became his own. Even after many days, he still felt like he was in a dream. I became Kaka. Son of God. Kaka. The last king before Mero. Kaka. Mo's hang is like a jade, and the sun is unparalleled. Kaka. 2 months ago, Kaka was suspended for accumulating yellow cards in the youth team game, so he went to Brasilia to visit his grandparents, and the family went to the water park for a party. As a result, Kaka plunged directly to the bottom of the swimming pool while playing the water slide, the one that hits the ground head first. Although it didn't directly land into a box, it also saw red on the spot. This unfortunate child didn't take it seriously at first, just went to the hospital for a few simple stitches, and ran back to Sao Paulo for training the next day. Who knew that the neck would start to have severe pain soon after? Kaka had to be hospitalized, but unfortunately the situation did not improve at all. After a few days, the pain in the cervical spine became more and more, and he was unconscious for a time. Then he woke up and became Zhang He. He also doesn't know why he can go through the rebirth of a dragon after playing a game. Anyway, it's like this after he wakes up. As a Kaka fan, Zhang He has watched many Kaka documentaries, and is naturally impressed by Kaka's injury. If Kaka is really the chosen son like his nickname, then he should be chosen by God on this day. Before the injury, Kaka was only a small substitute for the youth team of Sao Paulo. Although he was talented and famous, no one would think that this handsome, tall and thin teenager could play anything. After all, Brazil is a genius. There are too many teenagers, and they can compete with Huaxia's table tennis talents. It's just that after this injury, Kaka was activated like a plug-in, and his career began to embark on a jaw-dropping fast lane. That's a near-perfect path to professional player development. Youth team, first team substitute, playing on the field at the last moment of the final to kill the opponent, main force, core, the best rookie, entering the national team, World Cup champion, joining a world-class giant, substitute, main force, core, superstar, almost single-handedly helping the team win the Champions League, the best in the world. Going all the way down, it may be a bit exaggerated to say that gods block and kill gods and Buddhas, but it is not an exaggeration to say that they are soaring. No one is born a superstar, but some people are born to be extraordinary, and apparently this young man with a 28-letter name is one of them. His talent is almost visible to the naked eye. The first half of his life was as perfect as a fairy tale. Part of his experience is comparable to the hero of a YY novel. He is a generation of arrogance on the football field. He is truly loved by thousands of people and is almost perfect. More importantly, it's still 2000. Qi Xuanzong is in the sky, the aliens are in full bloom, Henry is ascending the throne at Highbury, Shiva is crowning the king at San Siro, Ferguson has just become a knight, the first phase of the galaxy is just about to set sail, Abu has not yet entered Stamford Bridge, Ronaldinho still without a move to Saint-Germain, Messi still has 4 years to land in La Liga, and Ronaldo has 3 years to move to the Premier League. And Kaka was only 18 years old. There is no fame all over the world, no golden balls, no harassment, no right and wrong, no grudges, no splits, no scars and exhaustion. This is not the most powerful card, but the best card. I haven't seen the blooming days of Chang'an, but I am still young in fresh clothes and angry horses. Everything is at its best. Of course the young Kaka didn't know this. Referring to the 10 Commandments in the Bible during therapy, he made 10 wishes that would later appear to be outrageously simple. These 10 wishes are also the Kaka 10 Commandments in the mouth of some fans. 1. Return to the court to play football. 2. Promoted to the first team of Sao Paulo. 3. Entered the 25-man squad of the first team of Sao Paulo in all competitions. 4. Strive to enter the 18-man competition list. 5. Fight for the main position in the team. 6. Participate in the U20 World Youth Championship. 7. Called up by the Brazilian national team. 8. Playing in the Brazilian national team. 9. Represent Brazil in the World Cup. 10. Move to Serie A or La Liga giants. From the current situation of Kaka, each of these 10 wishes is an extravagant wish, but from the point of view of the Reborn, these 10 goals of Kaka are simply a joke. This kid who can't even catch up with the wind on the court in the future, now his biggest wish is to play football again. In the future, this absolute superstar who will make all the rich and new rich waving checks and desperately chased has been thinking about it day and night. Just to be on the first team of Sao Paulo, the biggest dream of the future leader of the Seal Chow is to be able to play in the national team shirt even if he only plays one game. Life is like a dream and like a play, you never know whether you will be frightened or surprised. Promoted to the first team of Sao Paulo. Entered the 25-man squad. Brother, how deeply have you misunderstood your talent? Zhang He rubbed his face and said to the handsome man in the mirror, then, from today, I am Kaka. Kaka used to have the 10 commandments, but now Kaka has only 2 goals. Become a Kaka. Beyond Kaka. Perhaps, there is more than mellow. Well, that's 3. Chapter 2. The public has to carry letters. When Kaka can finally remember his name, which consists of a large string of letters, he can also be discharged from the hospital. Looking at this lively young man in front of him, as if he could not wait for a 50-meter run back and forth in the hospital corridor, the attending doctor kept advising him to stop his sports career while he couldn't believe it. Although Kaka's cervical spine seems to have no problem, but after all, he has been injured, and it is logically not suitable to engage in such intense sports as football. Parents who believe in God are also trying to dispel his idea of continuing to be a professional player while thanking God for his blessing. Only his younger brother Rodrigo still supports his brother to continue on this path. Kaka unswervingly expressed to them his determination to continue to be a player. Born in a middle-class family in Brazil, he doesn't have to worry about his current livelihood. As a traveler, he has a lot of opportunities to become rich even if he is not a star, but he does not play football when he becomes a Kaka. This TMD is similar to what is the difference between wearing Lubu but not Jiaochan. Kaka landed on the mink without hesitation. He chose football. Self-cultivation, comeback, resumption of training, everything is in order, everything looks normal, but it's not the same. It's really different. The coach and teammates looked at Kaka on the training ground, and 10,000 alpacas whizzed past in their hearts. What the hell is Kaka? Or is this particular Brazilian? Stopped the ball 2 meters away and almost tripped myself with a ball. Kaka's heart is broken. It was the first day he resumed training with the ball, but when he excitedly greeted his teammates to pass the ball to him, he found that his feet were as stiff as 2 logs. He can't even play football. Or play badly. What is this? Could it be that only the body and memory are inherited, but the technology and experience are not inherited? Or is the soul and body incompatible and forgot to patch? Kaka's face was ashen. The script is wrong. God, are you playing with me? Can I delete the number and play again? Kaka, are you okay? Many people looked at Kaka, who was distracted, with doubts and astonishment in their eyes. It's okay, Kaka forced a smile on his lips, and said to the teammate who passed him the ball, I'll practice by myself for a while. You may have not touched the ball for too long, so look for your state first. It is good. Kaka came to the side, tried to flip the ball a few times, and did some simple dribbling exercises. There were some bumps at the beginning, and there was a strange sense of isolation, but as the contact between the feet and the football became more and more, it seemed that some seals had been opened, and the movements began to become more and more smooth. At least it would not happen. Even an ordinary low ball can't stop a tragedy. It just still feels a little awkward. Like a left-handed writing with the right hand. The technical details are clearly engraved in the brain, the muscle memory is still there, and the physical condition is almost restored, but the movements are always a little uncoordinated. In the next few days, he went into frantic training like he was stunned, probably because he had the original foundation, and the technology improved rapidly, and it seemed that he had gradually reached the level before the injury and hospitalization. But that's just what it looks like, it's actually pretty bad. He can handle the ball well and is quite proficient, but he does not have the lightning-quick style of the combination of the green talent, and naturally he does not have the temperament of the peak Kaka. The footwork is also good, and he can throw the average person 10 streets away, but if you want to say that 100 paces can be used to wear Yang Ji, it is still far behind. The most important thing is that it feels awkward. Football is like a rebellious bare child under his feet. He has to use all his skills to control it. A simple summary is that the basic skills are solid. But there is nothing that stands out, at most the level of ordinary players, who can eat a bowl of professional football, but it is difficult to reach the top. In literary and mysterious terms, it means that the craftsmanship is too heavy, the dribbling is not agile, the breakthrough is too rigid, the passing is not spiritual, and the shooting all depends on Meng. The reason is not hard to find. He's not really Kaka after all, and he doesn't have those things that make Kaka a superstar. Those things are called ball sense, aura, ball quotient, consciousness, rhythm control, prediction of landing point, smell in front of goal, etc. One is more illusory than the other, but for a football player, it is one worse than one. There is a common name for all these things that sound like a gimmick: talent. Talent is probably one of the most annoying things in the world. You can't see it, you can't touch it, you can't tell the truth, but there are always some evildoers that we have to admit. This kind of thing is truly engraved in the deepest part of the soul. Where, innate, unique. Effort determines the lower limit, talent determines the upper limit, and it applies everywhere. In the world of football, there are many players who train diligently, and there are also many players with great flexibility and infinite speed, but there are only a few who can really stand at the top of each generation. In the final analysis, God does not give food. And Zhang He belongs to the one who has no talent in football. Even if he has become Kaka now, he has a body with unlimited potential, and he has inherited the football skills that Kaka has been practicing for many years. In terms of potential and actual combat, he may not be as good as an ordinary drinking fountain manager. In a word, the hardware is almost top-notch, and the software thinks bah. The reality is very cruel. With the same tools, ingredients and cooking methods, some people can make delicious food easily, while others make dark dishes with great effort. Just like someone who has crossed over to become boss ma, but only inherited his professional knowledge and previous memory, but does not have his strategic vision, way of thinking and market sense, let alone his ability to brag and fool people. To be an ordinary, it may not be difficult to become a rich man, but if you want to become the richest man, it is estimated that it is very difficult. Someone wants to cry without tears. I have crossed into Kaka, but football is playing like shit, what should I do? Online wait, very urgent. Ding. Your system is online. Wokeo. There is a system. Say it earlier. Article 1 of the Traveler Protection Law, the opening must be systematic. There is no system for transmigrators, just like the public without letters, prisons, no soap, Germany, no orthopedics, Zhongjin, no suits, Haonan, no long-hair swordsman scroll, no mods, Victoria, no secret Sand County Hotel, no wonton noodles, Manchester United, no Ferguson Golden Voice, no Ronaldo writing, no punctuation. Seems like some weird stuff got in there. No matter, in short, the system is a good thing. Countless bigwigs who have come out of the Chidian orphanage have proved this with their biography. But it's all set up and still has a system, isn't it a bit shameless? So with a feeling of shame and resistance, Kaka reluctantly opened the legendary system interface, and a somewhat familiar list appeared out of thin air. Name, Ricardo I. Sexton dos Sanchez Writer, Kaka. Age, 18. Height, 1.81 meters. Weight, 65 kg. Body balance, 68. Physical fitness, 82. Response, 85. Agility, 86. Speed, 91. Strength, 78. Bounce, 83. Speed with the ball, 88. Ball control, 78. Short pass accuracy, 79. Long pass accuracy, 72. Shooting skills, 76. Shot power, 80. Free kick accuracy, 73. Header, 68. Steals, 55. Goalkeeper skills, 50. Teamwork, 59. This appears to be a simplified version of the PES player attribute list. As for the data, somewhat baffling. For example, the speed, agility, and reaction are unsurprisingly amazing, which is worthy of the title of the Son of God, while passing, shooting, etc. are not very scientifically low, and they do not match the template of the peerless demon star. Speed 91, dribbling speed 88, he locked the attribute with the highest value at first glance, it's a little bit awkward. What are the technical characteristics of Kaka? Fast speed, strong impact, long-range shooting NB, and the most famous is the speed of dribbling, bug and BUG, more than 95 in the peak period, this data even reached 99 in a certain version of the live, absolutely epic level. The real situation uses the percentage system, but unless you use modifiers or play some special modes, no character has a value that can reach 100. That is to say, in the official settings of the game, 99 is the extreme value of an attribute, even if it is without Kaka who has grown up, his dribbling speed should at least be around 92. Of course, a game is a game, and it is based on reality. It is destined to be full of bugs. The data should be used as a reference. In reality, the shooting skills are mediocre, but in a certain season in my career, I suddenly scored a dozen or 20 goals. The ball is not without, don't be too serious. To be honest, for a youth team player, many of the numbers here are already very good. Ishue's 80+ is no joke. It can be regarded as a national treasure in most Asian countries, but it is probably due to the feeling of the ball and due to the constraints of man-ball combining ability. His dribbling speed and passing are much lower than those of genuine Kaka. To put it simply, it has almost fully inherited Kaka's physical fitness, but there is a big gap in some technical attributes. I really am a fake card. Fortunately, there is a real system. Scrolling down the list, 3 more items appeared. Stunt card, none. Talent card, none. Star card, none. Honor point, 0. It's over. Where's the smart assistant? Where's the novice gift pack? Where's the daily tasks? Where's the virtual coach? Where's the lottery roulette? Where's the training space? The last interface popped out slowly like a broken car pulled by an old cow. On the top were 4 big characters, System Mall. Damn, what kind of ghost system is it? It's so perfunctory to name it. Just after complaining, the four-word system Mall secretly became Honor Mall, naturally as if it was the name originally. Kaka wondered if he had read it wrong just now. This system has spirituality, I like it. Chapter 3 Relying less on the body and more on technology. The goods in the honor shop are divided into three categories: talent cards, trick cards and star cards. Kaka's eyes first aimed at the talent card. 1. Talent name, by Buchuan Yang. Owned player, Kaka. Price, 0 honor points. 2. Talent name, Shooter Instinct. Owned player, Philippe Inzaghi. Price, 100 honor points. 3. Talent name, Body of Steel. Owned player, Batistuta. Price, 100 honor points. 4. Talent name, Natural Sense of Ball. Players, Robert Baggio. Price, 100 honor points. 5. Talent name, Master of Long Chuan. Owned player, David Beckham. Price, 100 honor points. In addition, there are Luin Fast Horse Royce, Falcon I Alonso, Lightning Nerve Casillas, Absolute Leader Maldini and so on, no more, no less, exactly 11. After the talent card is a variety of trick cards. 1. Stunt name, Stride Meteor. Owned player, Kaka. Skill effect, increase the speed of dribbling and the success rate of breakthrough. Price, 0 honor points. 2. Stunt name, Heavy Bombardment of the Door. Owned player, Batistuta. Skill effect, increase shooting power and long-range hit rate. Price, 50 honor points. 3. Stunt name, Full Moon Scimitar. Owned player, Beckham. Skill effect, increase free kick accuracy and free kick hit rate. Price, 50 honor points. 4. Stunt name, Lightning Assault. Owned player, Inzaghi. Skill effect, increase shooting technique and anti-offside success rate. Price, 50 honor points. 5. Stunt name, Graceful Interception. Owned player, Nesta. Skill effect, increase the success rate of steals and interceptions. Price, 50 honor points. There are still Dream Footsteps, Baggio, Needles and Leads, Xavi Alonso, Following in the Shadows, Cannavaro, Chasing and Intercepting, Maldini, High Flying and Low Blocking, Casillas, etc., each of which always 50 honor points. The rest is the star card. 1. Player name, Kaka. Talent, 100 steps piercing Yang. Skill, Meteor, increase the speed of dribbling and the success rate of breakthrough. If the host already has this skill, its effect cannot be superimposed. Card effect, get the talent and skills of the player for 30 minutes. After use, the card disappears and can be purchased and used repeatedly. Price, 0 honor points. 2. Player name, Philippe Inzaghi. Talent, Archer Instinct. Skill, Lightning Strike, increase shooting technique and anti-offside success rate. If the host already has this skill, its effect cannot be superimposed. Card effect, get the talent and skills of the player for 30 minutes. After use, the card disappears and can be purchased and used repeatedly. Price, 5 honor points. 3. Player name, Batistuta. Talent, Man of Steel. There are a total of 11 players, each with 1 talent, 1 stunt, and 1 star card. Except for the talents and stunts that originally belonged to Kaka, the price of other stunts is 50, and the talents are 100. More special is the star card, which is cheap and practical, but if you already have the skills of the star on the star card, the skill attributes will not be superimposed, and the effect is only half an hour, a typical consumable, with salary to create happiness, no money to play your MB kind. In general, this system still abides by the basic law of transmigration and rebirth. There is no direct knife 999 or the host is stunned in the air. It is a step-by-step omnipotent path, but Royce Beckham of Bardi Bajo. What, is Mao a little familiar? Damn it, isn't this how good-looking I am? Someone finally reacted and slapped himself hard. What makes you judge people by their looks? Imagine if Inzaghi was replaced by Ronaldo, Reyes and Beckham were replaced by Messi and Ronaldinho, and Kaká was replaced by Maradona. Forget the last one, Otherwise it will be MMP if you cross into an old horse. After all, although the old horse is a dick, he looks a little too casual. The face is still very important, and it is a custom to say that people cannot be judged by their appearance. Zhang He found that he was not as excited as he imagined. For Kaka, it doesn't really matter whether there is a system or not, he knows this very well. As long as you follow the path of Kaka in the previous life step by step, train honestly, play football in peace, seize the opportunities that you should seize, make up for the weaknesses that can be made up, and sooner or later you can make a name for yourself. After all, he is a genius. As long as he does not commit suicide, success is almost certain. There is only one thing to be careful about: avoid serious injury. But he did not inherit Kaka's football talent, so the word genius was greatly discounted. Even if he is 100 times more diligent than Cristiano Ronaldo, there are some things that cannot be practiced, especially the sense of ball, personal style and the flash of inspiration on the court. He may be able to run as fast as Kaka in the original time and space, and even practice his dribbling skills more proficiently than Kaka, but he can't be like a real Kaka with the ball and can throw off his steps like a joy. Run like crazy, and after the run, you can also take a long shot that goes straight to the corner. He may be able to shoot like Batistuta, and even train his body to be stronger than Batty, but he may not be able to have the kind of aura that shocks me. It can scare the opponent's goalkeeper's heart into a deer. At this time, the so-called system is very necessary. I heard that it is popular recently to use other people's systems, but my system, to make a sentence, using a tone of praise and criticism to express that my system has a very reasonable personality, is not perverted, and is small and fresh. Everyone else's family is stupid, unreasonable, and illogical. In order to get closer to the bosses, Kaka also wants to use the above format to show a sense of superiority, but after holding it for a long time, he can't keep up with the rhythm of the bosses. It can only end with a word "fuck off." Although it is vulgar and lacking in literary style, the word fuck shows the breadth and depth of Chinese to the fullest. It is said that Wa and Chao can show different emotions when they read the sound respectively, but 6 is not good. The system does not seem to live up to Kaka's 2/4 tones. Although there is no online commentary by the beautiful lady, or even a manual, the experience effect is extremely poor, but in fact, the data is just a little messy, and it is not too complicated in itself. It's easy to understand at a glance. Talents and stunts, honor points and honor mall, these are the core of the whole system. Literally, you can guess their functions closely. Although there is no rookie gift package, Kaka's talents and skills are free of charge. It is purely a two-legged start, and the skills are all given away, which is equivalent to the benefits of dark gold level newcomers. Talent, 100 steps to pierce Yang. Special skill, stride shooting star. There is nothing to say about Baibu Chuanyang. It is obviously a talent in long-range shooting. It is definitely a perfect match with Barty's stunt bombardment or Beckham's full moon scimitar. The focus is on striding shooting stars. This is the signature skill of Peak Kaka, which has been almost lost after he retired. The stride shooting star, to put it bluntly, is striding the ball. The characteristics and difficulties lie in the change of rhythm and the ability to combine man and ball. Not to mention the actual combat effect. Just in terms of the scene, it is just like a sprinter playing football on the field. Anyway, that's how Bolt kicked. After everyone saw it, everyone tried to praise him for how fast he ran. This kind of dribbling technology relies heavily on speed and explosiveness, and the visual effects are shocking, but in the long run, it is very unfavorable for the player's career. Similar styles of Irving, Bell, Robin, etc., are better than each other at their peak. But the body is more than a glass, and he started to get injured at a young age. He has spent his entire career in tinkering and repairing, and the oil in the fuel tank is almost never full. How much you overdraw your body when you are brilliant, and how painful it is when you pay off your debts. 5 months of charging, 3 minutes of hurricane, how much enjoyment in the typical early stage, and how uncomfortable it is in the later stage. Kaka is only 3 years older than Cristiano Ronaldo and 5 years older than Messi, but if you only look at career life, you would even think that Kaka and them are 2 generations old. These 2 guys are still the best in world football. When the center played the peerless double pride, Kaka had already returned to Sao Paulo to retire. Practically speaking, apart from being partly caused by malicious violations by opponents, most of the injuries of speed players are caused by themselves. If you look at those sprinters, you will know that those who practice track and field have a physical confrontation. But there is no ambiguity about being injured. Everything is caused by excessive bursts, and sprinting with full force is not to say that you are tired. You can recover after walking slowly for a few minutes and returning to the blue quietly, which is a great burden on the body. Therefore, Kaka does not want to regard the big move like striding shooting star as his regular skill, but intends to strengthen his ability to control the ball and break through, relying more on technology and less on the body, which can not only effectively avoid most injuries, but also can extend their career. He already had some ideas about this. One is to practice yoga, which is inspired by Giggs, who is getting older and more demonic, mainly to enhance the flexibility of muscles and flexibility of joints, and to polish his body to be more durable. Reinforce and upgrade your game skills and style to make your offensive methods richer and more efficient, and avoid excessive use of explosive skills in the game to cause a burden on your body. The former one is easy to say, although yoga is a bit of a niche, there is still a way if you really want to learn, but technical transformation and improvement are more difficult. Kaka is now at the end of his 18th year, and has long passed the stage of polishing basic skills. The technology has basically been finalized. The team usually pays more attention to tactical training and practical experience accumulation. The ball control skills can only be depended on. You can improve yourself through additional training, and the old practice of dribbling the ball around the bar and moving the ball has been practiced for more than 10 years, and the effect has been minimal. If you want to improve in a short time, you can only find another way. In this regard, he also has some ideas. In addition to relying on the system, there is another way to hone his skills, and that is street football. Although both are football, there is a big difference between street football and professional football. Street football is mainly entertainment and leisure, using fancy footwork and outstanding skills to pretend, and because of the limited area of the field, running 2 steps is the end. If you want to play, you have to control the ball to the extreme, so street football, a well-played general ball handling technique, can also be called superb. Professional football often means high confrontation, pays more attention to tactics and teamwork, and is more utilitarian and competitive. Streetball kings may be tortured into bronze when they arrive in the professional arena. A super shooter who scores numbly in the professional arena may be tricked into playing in a small court. Although the two have similarities, the difference is even greater. However, if it is simply in terms of honing footwork and ball handling skills, the effect of street football is still good. Many clubs in Brazil, Spain and Portugal will use street football as a training method for members of the youth training echelon. Kaka received indoor futsal training when he was a child. Street football to improve the ability to control the ball is obviously a fairly reliable way. Lei Yinbi's first rule of survival is to develop in a low-key manner, not to be wet and not to waver. Chapter 4. Be beautiful. Brazil is a country of football. You can see men and women playing football in the streets and alleys. Here, playing football is not only a hobby, but also a means of earning a living and a shortcut to fame. Football is in the blood of Brazilians. Unlike many players who were discovered by scouts after showing their talents on the streets, and unlike many of their peers who needed to play football to get out of the slums, Kaka's football path did not have an inspirational or legendary beginning. His father is a civil engineer, and his mother is a primary school teacher. The family's living standard is not very rich, but it exceeds the average well-off family. Kaka studied in a private church since he was a child. It is a century-old famous school that can go from elementary school to high school, so Kaka also has a high education that is rare among Brazilian professional players, high school graduation. Since he showed his football talent at the age of 8, Kaka has entered a regular football school to receive professional training. While taking care of his studies, he has also been successfully promoted from the youth team in São Paulo to the youth team. You don't have to stay up all night trying to get a football, so he has never had an intersection with the very down-to-earth term street football. Instead, he has come into contact with indoor football of a similar nature. Street football is not limited to the streets. Beaches and parks are also the main battlefields. These places have not only stepped out of the ancient gods such as Pelé and Garrincha, but also stepped out of the supernovas such as Robinho and Suarez who will become popular in the future. These people, the style of the game is delicate and coquettish. Even in the professional field, there are often some showy operations that blind the eyes of the world. What Kaka wants to do now is to walk the road they have traveled. One is to improve his own ball control ability, the second is to enhance the appreciation of their own play. The so-called ornamental is to play beautifully. This is not only to act better, but also to prepare for future honors such as the Ballon d'Or and World Footballer. You must know that the selection of these awards depends not only on the performance on the field, but also on the influence off the field and the player's performance. Popularity. Snyder and Ribery, please sit down and know you have something to say, but this is not the time for you to play. People who play good football are of course more popular than those who don't play well, so even if Ibrahimovic's team honor is not so top, he has become a top superstar, and German legend Gerd Müller, who has created a series of scoring records, is in the world. The popularity within the scope is not even comparable to that of the funny junior with the same name. Kaka did have a lot of highlight moments, but the only one that really shined was 2007. If the wonderful scenes of the whole career are not played back repeatedly, at most 10 minutes of small highlights can be cut, a few unreasonable ones. A long-distance attack, a few super long-range shots, and the unbelievable goal against Manchester United are almost the same. Compared with the big and small Ronaldo, Messi, etc., it is not enough to look at, and it is fair to say that if there is no, the bonuses in terms of appearance and charisma are backed by the top platform AC Milan. It is unlikely that Kaka in the previous life has the kind of influence that almost threatened Melo. At least when the team's performance and personal data are similar, Kaka in the selection of awards is probably no better than the daily Messi who has passed and people. In other words, the fairy ball can be made into a highlight first of all. If he can also have the number of goals and championship titles like Ronaldo, then the president can only be the second, third, fourth and fifth in the world in his life. This day is the weekend, it is also the rest day of the youth team. Kaka came to the famous Independence Park in Sao Paulo. The name of the football kingdom is not for nothing. There are people playing football everywhere in the whole park, children, adults and even the elderly, as if they can't live without football. Kaka, wearing an unprinted Brazil national team jersey, wandered around, and finally came to an open space beside the square. There are a lot of spectators around here. The middle is sparsely divided into many teams, and they are fighting in teams. Kaka, who was wearing jersey and sneakers, just walked over, and before he had time to take a good look, a tall and thin young man waved at him and shouted, "Hey, buddy, come here, we have few people here, start the game immediately." "Already?" Kaka quickly responded and trotted over. These are obviously two small teams that were put together temporarily, with 5 players on each side, kicking wickets, no goalkeeper, and all wearing any jerseys. It is quite rare that there is no pair of jerseys among the 9 people. Enough people, let's start. When everyone arrived, they kicked, and Kaka was a little stunned. "Cough, man," Kaka said to the guy who greeted him, "what position do I play?" "Position?" The young man gave him a strange look. "Do you know the full attack and full defense?" "Learn." Kaka responded, suddenly a little disappointed. "I know you are unprofessional, but I didn't expect it to be so unprofessional. Even on China's amateur courts, when everyone starts working, they will be divided into forwards, defenders, and even wingers and midfielders, okay? But it's also very strange there. When I was young, I couldn't find a venue to play football. When I grew up, I couldn't gather enough people to play football." Soon, his disappointment deepened, and he even began to wonder if it was worthwhile to waste training time going to a place like this to watch a group of chickens peck at each other. It's understandable to have messy movements and poor coordination, but the ball handling skills that make him most valued are also all kinds of flashy, barely considered proficient. Forget it, come anyway. With this mentality, Kaka ran over to his opponent who was riding a bicycle, and pulled the ball to his feet with a neat top grab. The man in possession of the ball, still complacent about his historic 5 bike rides, was gone in the blink of an eye. Kaka rushed towards the opponent's goal with the ball like a gust of wind, and simply passed the opponent's defender with a single dunk, more than Messi. As a quasi-professional player, Kaka is far ahead of everyone on the spot in terms of physical fitness, reflexes, and technical foundation. In such an amateur stadium, he is as dazzling as fireflies in the dark night. So the good study turned into abusive food, and the stealing, breaking through, and shooting were staged repeatedly. To be honest, it's kind of disrespectful. The friends on both sides were stunned, and many viewers also discovered that a strange guy was mixed in the venue. Many people gathered around. At first there were applause, but soon there was no sound. "This guy is amazing, but he kicks, he doesn't look good." Even a direct change of direction or an acceleration past the person, there was no fake action in the shot, and the passing was also dry. Not art at all. Everyone couldn't stand it anymore, and they left one by one. Kaka also experienced the supreme state in the pretending world. The old man suddenly shouted, "Hey! Kid! The national team jersey! Come here, this way!" Kaka came over inexplicably and said, "Is something wrong?" The old man was probably playing next to him and was just substituted. He wiped his sweat and said, "Go over there, this is not the place you should stay." Kaka's eyes lit up. Otherwise, in addition to having a fat man in every story, we also need an old grandfather. Chapter 5 Football Emperor. The venue that the old man pointed to was right next to it, and it was also the venue with the largest audience, and there were often cheers, making it very lively. Needless to say, it must be the legendary Master Field. "Come here." The old man pulled Kaka away regardless of whether Kaka agreed or not. Kaka, who was about to switch from the bronze round to the King's Field, could only shrug his shoulders at his teammates and said, "I'll go there first." Everyone naturally wishes for it. "Well gone, better never come back." Kaka followed the old man to the side of the court. This side is playing a 7-a-side system, but it is not a regular army. Although it is mainly young people in their 20s, there are also a few uncles and uncles mixed in. The clothes are relatively uniform. The home jersey of the national team, and the other side mostly wears Inter Milan's blue and black jerseys. Ronaldo and Inter Milan are like glue now, and the popularity of this club in Brazil is still quite high. Kaka took a few glances and became interested. These guys are very skilled at the game. Although from the perspective of a professional player, many of the core skills are amateurish, but they are very flamboyant. "Hey! Sanchez, I know you're tired, get out." The old man who brought Kaka shouted at a middle-aged man on the field, and then pushed Kaka up without waiting for the opponent's answer and dead ball. Sanchez probably was really tired, so he waved his hand, yelled change and walked out. Kaka joins Inter Milan in a Brazilian jersey, thankfully it wasn't filmed. "Come on, brat, kick their asses." The old man shouted. Sanchez gave Kaka a strange look, and nodded as the two passed by. "Fred, who is this little fellow?" "I don't know," Fred said, "I just know he's a master." "A master?" Sanchez gave him a funny look. "Brazil is full of masters." No, Fred shook his head, "if I'm not mistaken, he should be a professional player. After all, he came from an academic school. Kaka's shape and temperament are there, and it is easy for people with discerning eyes to see it." "Oh. That's a bit interesting." Sanchez picked up the water bottle and took a sip, looking at the field. The field is now Brazil with the ball. Their defensive and offensive players have made a relatively clear division, but the few defenders are not safe masters, often rushing ahead of the forwards. Now the dribbler is a defender who takes the ball from the back, spins past the Inter striker with a fancy pull and passes it to the left. The ball was received by a young man who looked to be in his 20s. He was not wearing the Inter Milan jersey, but the number 10 jersey of São Paulo. The moment he caught the ball, cheers came from the sidelines. I don't know whether he just conquered the audience through his skills or he is a celebrity himself. Anyway, Kaka looks familiar with that face. São Paulo number 10 received the ball with his right foot and was about to lead it forward. The opponent's player immediately came up to press the ball. Who knew that his forward dribbling was just a fake move? His forward upper body suddenly retracted, and the football followed. Let the defensive player lose his position. The action is very simple, but the effect is very good. Not to mention the defensive players, even Kaka and others who were watching were deceived by him. After passing the defender, São Paulo number 10 started to dribble the ball forward, and the player he passed quickly returned to grab it. Kaka was also ready to come up to defend, but he flicked the ball back, and the football directly defended the player's two sides from behind. Passed between the feet, and Kaka's defense became impossible to talk about. This is a typical delayed fighter on a big court, procrastinating, but it is commonplace on a small court, and it attracted a burst of applause. Number 10 finally dribbled the ball to the goal. Kaka made a gesture to hit the goal, and Kaka quickly stretched out his foot to block it, but this shot was also a fake move. The opponent's shooting foot changed to a supporting foot, and the other foot pulled the ball, and after turning around, he was about to rush past Kaka. Kaka was not surprised either, and was even mentally prepared. Even if this kind of person faces an empty goal, it is estimated that he has to play a scissor kick shot to enjoy himself, and it is called hell if he will honestly shoot directly when someone is defending. He quickly retracted his center of gravity and followed immediately. The opponent did not expect Kaka to react so quickly, but his control of the football was very stable, the rhythm was not chaotic at all, his upper body shook, and the instep of his left foot flicked the ball to the left, dodging Kaka's second press. Although Kaka was not flustered, he stretched out his right foot, but the guy still made a fake move this time. The left foot that dialed the ball suddenly buckled, and the ball came from the left to the right, and then the instep of his right foot knocked the ball directly flash past Kaka. The football was firmly stuck to his feet throughout the whole process, and there seemed to be a peculiar rhythm between the movement and the stillness, and the rhythm was just right. Although Kaka's ball handling skills are also very skilled, it is more or less rigid and deliberate, far inferior to the opponent's smooth flow and free will. If it is a standard product that just came off the factory assembly line, then the other is an exquisite handicraft handcrafted by an artist. There is not much difference between the two, it can only be said that the difference is obvious. Kaka was not completely thrown away, but he had already lost his position. He turned around hastily and stretched his feet to block him, causing the man to trip and fall to the ground. The exclamation on the sidelines turned into exclamation, and many people were dissatisfied with Kaka's rudeness. The person on the other side came over immediately. "Hey! Brother, don't be so serious, right? Falco, are you okay? It's not necessary, is it? After all, it's just a party-like entertainment. Kicking people down seems a bit too much." Knowing that he had committed an occupational disease, Kaka quickly raised his hands, saying that he didn't do it on purpose, and then pulled number 10 up. "It's okay." Number 10 stood up, patted the ashes on his shorts, and said to Kaka, "The defense is good." Kaka was speechless. His defensive ability is indeed better than many offensive players who can only defend with their eyes, but the distance is good, and it seems that there is still a little distance. It can only be said that you know too little. Number 10 carefully looked Kaka up and down, and suddenly said, "Are you a professional player?" "Not really," Kaka said, "it's just the youth team." "Which team is it?" Number 10 asked again after taking the ball to the penalty spot and putting it away. Kaka did not answer, pointing to the team logo on the opponent's jersey. "Whoa! Sao Paulo?" Others were also interested. There are tens of thousands of professional players in Brazil. It is common for these people to go to the field to practice their ball sense and pretend to be aggressive. It is not new, but the players of the Sao Paulo team are different. Being able to name the city with the name of the city already shows the influence of the Sao Paulo club in this city. Everyone looked at Kaka and suddenly became friendly. "St. Paul's? Why haven't I seen it?" "Youth team, of course I haven't seen it." "Falcao, don't you want to play 11-a-side? You can practice with this little guy first." Falcao. Hearing this name for the second time, combined with the familiar face of the other party, Kaka knew who this Sao Paulo number 10 was. There are many people named Falcao, but only 3 are the most famous in the field of football. One is the Brazilian football star who is called Roman Emperor 8 by Roman fans, and the other is the Colombian Tiger who had a short-term glory later. There is another one in front of you. Falcao, the future emperor of indoor football. Chapter 6 Waiting for the Wind to Come. Alessandro Rosa Vieira, a Brazilian futsal player, was born in Sao Paulo, Brazil on June 8, 1977, the best player and best player of the 2 Futsal World Cups shooter, the 5-time world indoor soccer mister. As for why Mao called him Falcao, in a Ricardo Isaacson dos Sanchez writer could be called Kaka, Edson Arantes do Nascimento could be called Pele's country, it's no surprise. Of course, the world footballer and so on are things to come in the future, and Baidu's Kaka doesn't know about them, but he does know this person and has seen some of his videos. Indoor football is not well known in the world, and it can even be said to be a bit niche. Just 23 years old, Falcao has won several important championship honors. Although he is well known among fans, he is not yet truly famous in South America. Since it is Falcao, there is nothing incomprehensible about being treated like a fool. Kaka is not ignorant of indoor football, of course he understands how abnormal the ball handling skills of the masters can be. Decisively steal the teacher, no, it is to build friendship and make progress together. Falcao was also dishonest when he took the penalty kick. After running lightly, he suddenly turned around, picked up the football between his feet, and jumped lightly with his back to the goal. He flicked the ball with the heel of his right foot, and the football flew in before the goalkeeper could react. Into the goal. If this scene appeared in the 5 major leagues, it would definitely be able to reach all kinds of wonderful goal lists, but it was just a routine operation for Falcao. Except for the depressed goalkeeper, everyone applauded generously, even the people on Kaka's side were no exception, and the atmosphere was very harmonious. Kick off to Kaka. After knowing that he is a member of the São Paulo youth team, probably to see his fineness, the ball came to his feet from the very beginning. Kaka also wants to play tricks, turning 360 degrees to pass the defender 3 times, and then knocking the goalkeeper unconscious before hitting the ball into the empty goal with his head. It must be very enjoyable. It's a pity that I'm used to the simple and efficient style of play, and it's really uncomfortable to switch to the fancy and gorgeous style all of a sudden, and it's not necessary. He doesn't want to be a shooting machine like Ronaldo in the late stage, but he doesn't want to be a ball player like Denilson. It is a difficult and long road to make fancy technology practical and become a goal-scoring version of Ronaldinho or a handsome version of Ronaldo. Kaka dribbled the ball at high speed, passed 2 people in a row with 2 simple acceleration changes, and was cut off, but he quickly counterattacked, rushed all the way to the goal, and pushed the ball away with a clean far corner. Pushed into the goal. As for the score or something, everyone has long forgotten that the side that scored the goal just hugged its head in frustration and said oh, and didn't even need to do push-ups. To be honest, this kind of football is actually quite interesting. There is no tit-for-tat or life and death, and there is no intrigue, dirty. Everything returns to the sport itself, simple and happy. It's just that since fate has arranged for him to go through this experience, he is not here to experience the ordinary and simple, but to make up for regrets and climb to the top. Kaka is very clear about the path he has to take. This is not the football he wants to play, he just wants to absorb the essence of this football into his technical system to become more gorgeous and stronger. Next, Kaka began to deliberately change his style, reducing his reliance on speed, trying to rely on ball handling skills to complete breakthroughs, and occasionally trying some fancy moves. The effect is not bad. After all, his own foundation is very solid, especially his physical fitness is very good. This defensive strength is like sprinkled water for him. After the real self-release, it is still quite interesting, but unfortunately, the so-called something is just for ordinary people, barely trying not to lose face. Compared with these guys, he is a younger brother. Regardless of professional or not, after all, they can mix with Falcao on the same court, and everyone's skills are the same. All kinds of fake moves that have never been seen before, all kinds of small techniques with names but not names, all kinds of magical operations that could not be imagined before, are eye-opening and exciting. After stepping on the bicycle, if you don't connect with the Marseille roundabout by the way, you will be ashamed to say that you can surpass others. If Cruyff does not add some special skills to his turn, he will be ashamed to use it in public. This is the so-called streetball master. At the end of the game, some people had their best time, but some were still unsatisfied. Kaka took the opportunity to ask them for some technical details that they didn't understand. Everyone is also very interested in the young talents who can coach the São Paulo youth team, and they have donated money to teach each other. Although most of them are useless, there are still some dry goods. Kaka does not say that he has been enlightened and improved by leaps and bounds, but he has indeed benefited a lot. I side with emotion that the masters are among the people, happily exchanged contact information with some people, and made an appointment to fight again next time, and the friendship was initially established. Then each went back to each house, each looking for each mother. In this way, street football and indoor football have officially entered Kaka's training courses. Coupled with the daily team training and extra training in the gym, his days are full and beyond the standard. Of course, Kaka's changes cannot escape the eyes of the youth team coach Edinho. In fact, Kaka didn't intend to hide it from anyone. Anyway, it's not a shameful thing. It's normal to go to a small stadium to hone yourself in Brazilian football. Phenomenon, not doing business properly. It's just that for an 18-year-old player, technical transformation is not an easy task. Edinho is not optimistic about Kaka's behavior, but he doesn't object to it, and even appreciates it a little. After all, Kaka's technical style is considered heresy in Brazil, and even in South America as a whole. It is too out of place. It is of course a good thing that he can make up his mind to change. Upgrading technology is a long-term thing, and it cannot be accomplished overnight. Kaka's top priority is to strengthen his long-range shooting ability, turn the system talent into a real immediate combat power, and at the same time become familiar with striding meteors as soon as possible, relying on long-range shooting skills and high-speed break through these two tricks to rush to the first team and gain a firm foothold as soon as possible, and become famous in the domestic league as soon as possible. The rest is to constantly improve your skills in actual combat, and strive to establish a relatively mature technical style before landing in the top league. Stunning the world and laying the most solid foundation. In short, it is scientific training, strict self-discipline, system assistance, and a bright future. Time is like water, and you can't pretend that days always pass quickly. In a blink of an eye, the calendar has turned to the end of January 2001 silently. The gust of wind that Kaka had been waiting for finally came. Chapter 7 Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, St. Paul. The São Paulo youth team is now preparing for the São Paulo Youth Cup. The world's largest youth-level football match has gone through 31 years. The 32nd session is about to kick off. At that time, 88 players from 26 states and one district of Brazil all clubs will send their youth teams to participate. This cup has great influence in Brazil, and the São Paulo youth team is the defending champion, so the club attaches great importance to this competition. Kaka is the substitute of Harrison, captain of the youth team, and should have been actively preparing for the cup. However, now this tournament has nothing to do with him. Because the Rio São Paulo Championship has already started, and the lineup of the first team was stretched after several players were injured, and it was impossible to satisfy both the championship and the league at the same time. Pick players. What Alvarez urgently needs now is a midfielder, so the one he most wants to take away is Harrison, the core midfielder of the youth team, but Adinho will not let him go. There is no way, Alvarez can only pick someone from the bench. Just like the original history, Kaka children's shoes were accidentally selected, promoted from an outer disciple of São Paulo to an inner elite, and became a glorious first-team substitute. Kaka was also accompanied by a striker named Burgess. The two left under the envious eyes of their teammates, and reported to the first team the next day. This time Kaka will not come back. The next day, Alvarez came to the training ground early as usual. São Paulo is a strong team in the Brazilian First Division, but the team's situation this season is not good, and now it is full of injuries. As the head coach, he is under a lot of pressure and arrives earlier than anyone else every day. As a result, as soon as he came in, he found that someone was already running on the training ground. Alvarez is weird. He is very clear about the virtues of the people under him, or the style of most Brazilian players. He is hallelujah for being able to participate in training on time every day. Early. Non-existent. Alvarez watched from a distance for a while, but did not go there, but went into his office, made himself a cup of coffee, and then pulled out a player report from the table. Of course he recognized Kaka. This report is the coaching staff's assessment of Kaka. Alvarez just glanced at it briefly yesterday. He originally planned to give it to his assistant coach to take a good look at it today, and then formulate a detailed training plan based on the performance of the two young players. It was planned. Now that Kaka has attracted his attention in this way, he is of course willing to spend some time to observe it first. There is no coach who doesn't like hard-working young players. Kaka's player report is very detailed. After all, he came out of his own youth training camp, and he has a comprehensive grasp of all aspects of him. Rory has a bunch of data and comments, which are full of more than 10 pages, but Alvarez with rich experience, I quickly skipped some useless things and found out the part one care about. Fast dribbling speed, good long-range shooting, slightly poor passing and defense, just returned from injury for more than a month, and has not participated in a game for more than 3 months, but the training is very serious, and I often practice by myself. Outstanding potential, recommendations focus nourish. Alvarez came to the window with coffee, looked at the young man who started to practice long-range shots, touched his chin with satisfaction, and took a sip happily. Then a face directly turned into a bitter gourd. Damn, forgot to add sugar. Players from the first team arrived one after another, and a happy day was about to begin. Captain Cheney led Burgess and Kaka, who was sweating profusely, into the locker room, clapped his hands, and after seeing everyone looking over, he said, "This is a newcomer from the youth team. Welcome everyone." The teammates were quite enthusiastic. Several even applauded symbolically. "Hello, everyone. My name is Burgess, and I play forward." Burgess, who was a little nervous, was secretly relieved when he saw that the atmosphere was not bad. "Hi everyone, my name is Ricardo, I play midfielder." Kaka followed suit, "You can also call me Kaka." After all, they belong to the same club. Even if they have no friendship, they will feel a little familiar, especially Kaka, who is not very gregarious among Brazilian players. Anyone who has been in contact with them will have an impression. Greeted friendly. Cheney also began to introduce other teammates to the two, but most of the Brazilians' names were stinky and long, and everyone was used to being called by nicknames. What Kaka heard now may not be their real names. It's left back Ronaldo. This is centre back Lugano. This is Amelie, also a centre back. This is striker Luis Fabiano. By the way, Luis has just joined our team and he is also a rookie. Fabiano. Kaka was taken aback. If you look closely, it's really that buddy. After all, he is a person who has achieved fame in the top league. This face has been seen on TV before. Although he is much younger, it is definitely the Fabiano who later joined the Sevilla team. Among the Brazilian number 9 in the post-Ronaldo era, apart from the famous Adriano, Fabiano is one of the more reliable ones. As for the others, to be honest, they are not worthy of that jersey. Of course, Fabiano didn't know that he would one day become the head striker of the national team. He is only in his early 20s and has just been loaned to São Paulo from Rennes. He can only be regarded as a rookie in this team, so he has almost Kaka, who kept his ears shut, didn't know that there was such a familiar figure from his previous life in the first team. However, Kaka, another star in the team who will also be popular in the future, has always been concerned. Baptista, a beast who will join Real Madrid and Arsenal and other giants in the future, but he is now playing as a defensive midfielder, and his ability to attack on the front line has not yet been discovered. Fabiano and Baptista, plus Kaka, the São Paulo family alone has collected 3 little monsters with unlimited potential. The name of the Brazilian football kingdom is really not built. After a brief acquaintance, everyone walked out of the locker room together. Various training equipment had been set up on the training ground, and Alvarez and the assistant coach were standing on the sidelines. "Boys, come here." The assistant coach patted the folder in his hand and greeted. The players came sparsely and lined up. Alvarez said, "Do you know the new Ricardo and Burgess?" Cheney said, "It's already been introduced." "That's good, don't talk nonsense, start training." It can't be seen that the coach has a vigorous temperament and doesn't want to waste any time. Warm up, technical and tactical training, tactical drills, and then group confrontation. Chapter 8. São Paulo's training base has a mouthful and lengthy name, Frederick Antonio Germano Menzen Training Base. All I can say is, it's very Brazilian. Of course, this kind of name cannot be used in daily communication, so this base naturally has its own abbreviation, because it is located in the Brafanda district of São Paulo, so people generally call it Brafanda Training Base. The Brafanda Training Base has 3 standard-size training grounds. The largest one has a stand that can accommodate more than 4,000 people. Now there are some spectators sparsely sitting in the stands, and it is estimated that there are more than 100 people. There is absolutely no treatment for the youth team during training. There are no particularly famous stars in this São Paulo team. Most of these audiences are fans of the team, not for any player. Such fans obviously like football and understand football better than those who follow stars. They also know more about all aspects of the team than ordinary fans, so when Kaka and Burgess appeared on the training ground, they attracted attention. Who are those two? I haven't seen them before. Did you just transfer? I know the tall one. It's from the youth team. It seems to be playing in midfield. The shorter one. I don't remember it. Youth team. That's our own. I know him. His name is Kaka. He is Harrison's substitute. Harrison doesn't even know. The captain of the youth team, the core of the team's future midfielder. Kaka. Why does it seem to be the name of a pet? And why isn't Harrison entering the first team? Maybe it's because Harrison was injured. Fart, the youth team's cup match is about to start. Aren't first team games more important? That's a good question, I really want to know. Kaka has been in the youth team for nearly a year, and he has also participated in many youth team games. He has seen small scenes with hundreds of people. These experiences have been engraved in his memory and become a treasure trove. Small wealth, he didn't know that he had become the object of some people's talk, but he was still a little excited. Although it is just a training match, it is a first-team training match after all, so the meaning is quite different. The two rookies were naturally classified as substitutes, but Fabiano, who had just joined for a month, put on the main vest, which made Burgess, who also played forward, a little upset. Kaka, pass me more penalties later, I want you kid from Hachao to know what a striker is, Burgess said, raising his eyebrows at Kaka, with a smile like you know what? Smile, as long as you help me become the main force, I will introduce my sister to you. Kaka looked at the black guy speechlessly, patted him on the shoulder, and ran away. Chinese aesthetics, the first element of beauty, fair skin and long legs. Just after accepting Kaka's contempt in his eyes, Burgess soon ushered in another wave of powerful blows. In the first attack after the opening, Fabiano scored. This is a chance that is not considered a chance. Aluka broke through from the side and made a pass from the bottom. The football was not cleared cleanly. Fabiano directly broke out from the crowd and shot the ball into the substitute team with a low shot. The gate. It was just an ordinary team training match, and the opponent was a group of bench players. The main team just applauded and congratulated Fabiano. A lot of people rushed upwards angrily. It stands to reason that this is not the first time, you should have gotten used to it long ago. It can only be said that it is still too young. And when young people get angry, their style of doing things is, blind 78. It was really rushing, even the guards went up. Kaka estimated that the goalkeeper is also ready to move. There are rumors in the world that all Brazilian players, no matter what position they play, are prone to a strange disease of I am actually a striker during the game. The deep patients of this disease include Carlos, Maicon, Alves, Marcelo, etc., regarded strikers as their second career at a very young age. Facts have proved that this rumor is not groundless. Alvarez on the sidelines looked like he wanted to kill someone. Kaka asked for the ball in midfield, but the central defender who took the ball didn't even lift his eyelids, and directly used a coquettish feint to deceive Fabiano who had just scored. Pass. What pass? I didn't hear anything. Then he ushered in Baptista. At this time, he suddenly remembered that he was a defender, and hurriedly passed the ball to Kaka, but the defensive player was already in place, and he stopped the ball with a light poke. Kaka's first touch ended in failure. Baptista got the ball and slammed it straight into the penalty area. Fabiano was already ready to go, and rushed out the moment the ball came out. After taking a few steps, he kicked the goal. However, because he was bumped by the defender who returned to defend, the quality of this kick was not high, and the goalkeeper saved the ball out of the baseline. The corner kick was taken, and it was Fabiano who headed the ball again. He slid the ball back, and the follow-up teammate missed the shot, and the football rolled out of the baseline again. After all, they are professional players. After their heads were heated up, several defensive players became more honest. After being hit by the opponent's two waves of offensive, these Cafu Carlos finally settled down. Football was finally honestly passed to Kaka's feet. Although the time is not long, the crazy training during this period has achieved certain results. The changes in physical fitness such as body balance, strength and speed are not obvious, but technical attributes such as shooting and passing, especially ball control accuracy and dribbling speed, which have been specially strengthened, have improved somewhat. Kaka's football property has not been fully inherited, and it is normal for him to improve faster after the real mastery. The ball handling skills and dribbling speed that he is most concerned about have increased a little, especially the latter. The dribbling speed of 89 should be regarded as an excellent level among all players in the Brazilian domestic league. Of course, in the actual game, you can't use pure data to discuss heroes. There are many factors that determine a player's true combat power. In addition to the most basic physical fitness and technical ability, experience, psychology, state, will, tactical adaptability, and on-the-spot performance, even luck and so on, will have a major impact on a player's actual combat power. Although Kaka's many attributes are good, he still has a long way to go to truly become a terrifying attacker. Of course, this is not to say that he is not good at the moment. On the contrary, he is now equipped with system skills, full of vigor and fighting spirit, and his explosive fighting power is far beyond what a youth team substitute status can match. The son of the tiger and leopard, although unwritten, already has the spirit of eating cattle. Chapter 9 Amazing Self-Introduction. Kaka took the ball with one kick, then threw away the defender and quickly moved forward. The teammate who received the ball immediately passed the ball again, a simple and effective 2-for-1. Baptista, who was sitting in the middle, immediately greeted him. Xiamengsen, who came from the youth team, participated in the training of the first team for the first time and always hoped to make something big. As a person who has been there, he naturally knows this kind of psychology best, so he feels that it is necessary to teach this little brother a good lesson. The others had no intention of assisting in defense at all. Baptista is considered a relatively first-class defender in the top domestic league in Brazil. It is a bit like a strong man bullying a kid if he intercepts Kaka. Fabiano in the frontcourt is even ready to counterattack. Kaka didn't pass the ball, but moved the ball forward and met Baptista in a narrow way. Oh, heads up. It's good to be young. I like this kid a little bit. Do you think you will cry later? Hey, it's the right to send the ball again. Wokeo. So fast. This speeds up. Alvarez, who had a bad face on the sidelines already frowned, was suddenly shaken. Facing Baptista, who was slowly coming up, Kaka seemed to have not seen it, and immediately accelerated, passing by him like no one else. Baptista, who had just stretched out half of his feet, was a little confused. He just passed by. Passed. Went. Up. After passing Baptista, who underestimated the enemy, there were only 3 defenders left in front of Kaka, but one was a little far away, and Burgess took away another one. The only one who really stood in front of him was the central defender Luga. Promise. Lugano didn't expect that Baptista would be passed like a joke, and his nerves tensed up. The distance between the two was rapidly approaching. In order to better control the ball, Kaka had to slow down. Kaka, here. Burgess immediately stepped forward and prepared to sprint. Kaka also made a fake pass, but Lugano was experienced and did not stretch his feet easily, but stood firm and continued to block in front of Kaka. He wasn't worried that Kaka would really pass the ball, because Burgess was also taken care of by his teammates, so he just didn't want to let this kid who dribbles the ball pass quickly. As a result, the football really rolled towards the position where Kaka kicked, but the range was very small. It was not a pass at all, but just moved the ball there. Kaka immediately took advantage of the trend and accelerated, flashing past Lugano. Lugano immediately turned around and stretched out his hand subconsciously, only to touch the corner of Kaka's clothes. Vadim, he's fast with the ball. The assistant coach said nonsense. There is no technical content, but the speed and response are fast, which is the unanimous judgment of almost everyone. Alvarez nodded, staring at Kaka closely. He knew that Kaka's speed was fast, but it was only on paper. When Kaka's speed really turned into a very shocking picture and broke into his eyes, the surprise it caused was still considerable. What's going to happen next? Pass or shoot? The assistant coach has also done his homework. He knows that this young guy from the youth team has a good long-range shot. Now that he has just stepped into the penalty area, there are no defensive players around him, so he can take it easy. Foot. Kaka didn't pass or shoot, but continued to dribble. Goalkeeper Cheney lowered his center of gravity, opened his hands, and struck decisively. The two met at the front of the small penalty area. At the moment Cheney pounced, Kaka used a large change of direction to rush past him and scored an empty goal. There was a moment of silence in the arena, and then there were enthusiastic cheers. Baptista and Lugano looked at each other silently, shrugging their shoulders almost at the same time. The two of them didn't know how they had somehow become the background board. There were bursts of applause from the stands on the sidelines. Nice. It's a Ronaldo goal. He was so fast. Julio, Baptista, and Lugano were like 2 logs in front of him. No, they underestimated the enemy, but this little guy is really fast. I think he should start. It's just a ball, don't get excited, I don't know how he is doing in other aspects. As some fans said, a goal is just a goal, although it is very exciting, but at most it is surprising, and it will not make the players lose their composure and exclaim or be surprised, but considering Kaka's age and identity, in addition, this is his first time training with the first team, which is still shocking. Obviously, Kaka completed an impressive self-introduction in his own way. Burgess looked very excited, bouncing around as if he scored the ball himself. Kaka, it's so beautiful, but if you pass it to me, I will definitely score even more beautifully. Yeah, thank you for helping me open up the space, otherwise I wouldn't have gotten the chance so easily. It should, they will definitely strengthen their defense against you later. Understood, I will pass on the opportunity to you immediately. Clever. Baptista also came over, patted Kaka on the shoulder, and said, "Brother, you have made great progress." Baptista was also promoted from the São Paulo youth team, but the two had only been teammates in the youth team for less than a month, and they were not very familiar with each other. It's okay, it's your carelessness. That's right, so next time it won't be so easy. Try it. Baptista is right, it is indeed not so easy. The main team has cheered up, especially when dealing with Kaka. It is not serious, and the teammates are not very good. Kaka, it's hard to make a big difference for a while, but his strength is real, and his performance is quite satisfactory, at least reflecting most of the qualities that a qualified midfielder should have. It was a little bit wrong, but there was no problem in terms of technical ability, and it could even be said to be excellent, which further proved that the ball just now was not just luck. After playing for half an hour, everyone took a short rest. The teammates who had a relatively ordinary attitude towards Kaka became more enthusiastic, which was initially recognized by everyone. In the second half, when he changed sides and fought again, Kaka had a lot more opportunities to get the ball. Obviously, the trust of his teammates was increasing. He lived up to expectations and sent 2 wonderful assists. The first shot was a sharp through ball. Kaka sent the ball into the penalty area under the strict defense of Baptista, and Burgess sent the ball into the captain Cheney's guard with an awkward kick. Goal. The second goal came from a cross in front of the goal after a wonderful breakthrough. This time it was Reynaldo who served as the background board. He was left behind by Kaka's speed and could only watch as Kaka sent a nanny style for his teammates. Assists. The final result was 5-3. Although he lost the game, Kaka managed to get the coaches and teammates to recognize him, and he also entered the squad for the next game. The stage has been set, and it will be revealed whether it is a dragon or a snake, whether it is going straight to the blue sky or disappearing from the public. Chapter 10, 2 Eyes with a Knife and No Begging. On Thursday, February 1, 2001, less than a month before Kaka recovered from his injury, 3 of the 10 wishes he made on the hospital bed have come true, and now the 4th is about to come true. This is São Paulo's home stadium, Morumbi Stadium. The ongoing game is the first stage of the Rio São Paulo Championship. The 2 sides are São Paulo and Botafogo. The score is 0-1. According to international practice, the home team is in the front, the visiting team is behind, and São Paulo is 1 goal behind at home. Brazil's football market is not good, because the domestic TV broadcasting is very developed. People prefer to watch the game broadcasting at home, and almost all the famous Brazilian players have been snapped up by the European giants. Either some rising stars who are still in the growth stage or some former superstars who have come back to retire, their appeal is very limited. Therefore, apart from some more important games, the attendance rate of many games in Brazil is very low. Even if it is the home game of São Paulo, which is a strong team in Brazil, the attendance rate of this game is only about 2/3. It doesn't sound like much, but Morumbi Stadium has 80,000 seats, and 2/3 of the attendance is already the envy of many small clubs. São Paulo, who was playing at home, was attacked by the opponent and scored a goal in the first 10 minutes. Then they attacked the opponent's goal throughout the first half, but they didn't score. In the second half, the opponent who was ahead by 1 goal unexpectedly attacked. After coming out, São Paulo, who should have taken the opportunity to tie the score, played very passively. Alvarez walked up and down the sidelines, yelling at the players on the court, but it didn't help. His team was still under pressure. São Paulo are in trouble. Alvarez looks like he can't do anything, it's the best he can come up with, but his players have no fighting spirit. Shot. Fantastic save. Cheney's reaction soon, he saved the team again, but you can't win with a goalkeeper, they have to change. Sure enough, Alvarez went to the bench, and Sao Paulo was going to make a substitution. A player from the Sao Paulo team is warming up, huh? Who is this? Well, just kidding, of course I know who this is. I am a professional commentator. Wait, let me check the information first. Oh, I found it, a Sao Paulo the midfielder produced by the Youth Academy, his name is Ricardo Isaacson dos Santos. Forget it, look at the back of the jersey, his name is Kaka, this year only, born in 1982, he this year 19, maybe 18. It's his first game, Alvarez must be crazy, what Sao Paulo needs now is a hero, not a kid, not every teenager is Ronaldo. Of course, Alvarez didn't know that his decision to substitute had caused the narrator to complain wildly, and he was now seized the last time to give Kaká an order. Listen, Ricardo, I know a lot of people must think I'm crazy right now, but I know I'm not, you go up and tell Luis to put him on the last defender, I don't want to see him come back. Withdrawal, and you, I believe in my eyes, I believe you can do it, I need you to revitalize our mid-lane, pass the ball to connect the two sides, and you have to run, just like you did in the training game, use your speed to mess up their midfield and pass the ball into the box, get it? Not understand. God, tell me, what are you going to do when you play? Kick the ball into the goddamn goal. That's right, go warm up, remember, you have to run. Kaka could no longer hear what Alvarez said later, his body seemed to be out of control, and fans shouted in his ears and mind, and those people might be encouraging him, or they might be laughing at him, but he couldn't hear a word clearly, and he didn't want to make it clear. He could feel that everyone's eyes were on him. He warmed up as fast as he could. Then stood on the sidelines, the fourth official held up the sign. Off on the 8th and on the 23rd. The popular numbers 7 to 11 in the Sao Paulo team have already had owners, and even 22 has been worn away. Kaka chose to choose 23 in the end. Flying boots haven't happened yet, Schweigwabe is still number 7 of Manchester United. The current influence of the number 23 in the sports world is only limited to the basketball field, and it has no special meaning in football. In addition, the name on the back of his jersey was originally Kaká. In terms of pronunciation, it is actually no different from the Kaka that fans all over the world are familiar with. These two names do not exist in Portuguese, so there is actually no difference. But the word Kaká is a savory word in languages such as Spanish and Italian, so he changed Kaká to Kaka. In the 58th minute of the game, the ball went out of bounds and Sao Paulo made a substitution. High five with the teammate who was replaced, step forward with the left foot first, step into the field, squat halfway, brush the turf with the right hand, stand up, then heel with the right foot, and trot forward. After 5,000 years, it's finally my turn to play. It's a pity that the system is a prudence, and achievements such as first appearance on the field are not triggered. Life is not a movie, and Kaka's appearance seemed unremarkable. Apart from the on-site DJ's careless replacement introduction, what greeted him was only the audience's confusion and doubts. There is no close-up that allows all audiences to see every hair clearly. He was inexplicably a little nervous, feeling like he was dreaming. The wind blows on the face, not cold, but a little hot. The same goes for the heart. There was sparse applause from the stands. Kaka's parents and younger brother were all sitting in the stands, and Falcao, Fred, Sanchez and other friends who played street football together also came to watch the match. At first, they didn't think Kaka would have a chance to play, especially when the team fell behind. Everyone thought that Kaka's debut would be postponed, but who knew that Kaka made his debut in a hurry when he was least likely to play. This coach either dislikes Kaka extremely, or has given up the game, and is completely a dead horse as a living horse doctor. This is almost everyone's thinking. The game restarts. Kaka trembled a little. A small part is due to nervousness, mostly due to excitement. Under such pressure, some people will tremble and collapse and surrender, while others will soar against the current and soar into the sky under this kind of motivation. He knew that he was the latter, and could only be the latter. Because he is Kaka. He is very modest, but that is only because of self-cultivation, he is very gentle, but that is only because of character. The real him is full of courage, with knives in his eyes, and never begs for mercy. Chapter 11. See Kaka mistakenly for life. It's the 59th minute of the game. The young player Kaka of the São Paulo team came off the bench. This is his first game. We don't know what kind of consideration Alvarez has for a player who has never played the youngsters of the professional game play in such a situation, but we hope that this kid can bring something different to the team, because this São Paulo team is not what the fans want to see. From Bannerman TV, the commentator Jeet Cafu is not a fan of São Paulo. This famous Brazilian commentator can always analyze the details of the game rationally. In the words of some colleagues, the whole style is like a university professor teaching students. Very respected by the fans. Kaka had just entered the field, and before he could convey the coach's instructions to Fabiano, the rhythm of the game began to accelerate, and the football came to his feet after 2 passes. The opponent's midfielder immediately pushed up, and Baptista came up to meet him. Kaka didn't stick to the ball, and immediately distributed the ball and ran forward at the same time. The Botafogo midfielder wearing the number 6 jersey was worried that they would play 2 against 1, so he immediately followed Kaka, only to find himself getting further and further away from the opponent after only a few steps. Kaka was running along the center at almost full speed. Baptista, who originally wanted to pass the ball to the side, subconsciously passed the ball in front of him. The quality of this pass is not high, but the amount of advance is enough, so that Kaka has enough time to adjust his footsteps before receiving the ball, but it also allows the opponent's defender to intercept the ball faster after he receives the ball. Kaka slowed down, but did not stop. Instead, he swiped the ball directly to the defender, and then accelerated directly from the other side. A rough breakthrough. The number 23 of São Paulo just broke through Jefferson with a rough ball. He is very close to the penalty area. Luis Fabiano is coming back to meet him, but there are 2 defenders behind him. It's a 2-on-2 situation, Kaka. Is that the name? To dribble or pass the ball to Fabiano, he has to make a quick decision because Botafogo's defenders come back very fast. By the way, Kaka is also very fast, maybe he can bring us some surprises. Kaka was really fast, or to be precise, he dribbled the ball quickly, and he went into the penalty area while the commentator was still nagging. This wave of offensive came too suddenly. Botafogo didn't pay any attention to Kaka, let alone whether he paid attention to it or not. He didn't know why the football came to his base camp in just a few seconds. The defender rushed over quickly, and even the player who followed Fabiano abandoned his defensive target and ran to help defend, but in this way, Fabiano could only speed up and run backwards in order not to be offside. The scene looked like, on the contrary, it seemed that Kaka headed straight into the face of the 3 defensive players. Kaka slowed down a bit. He originally wanted to shoot from a long distance, but he was not very sure. After hesitating for a moment, Botafogo's defenders had already pushed forward. The opportunity is fleeting, and Kaka's cuteness is undoubtedly exposed. He was forced to go outside, passing Fabiano running over. Fabiano started running laterally and another defender had to follow. Unfortunately, São Paulo missed a good opportunity. Kaka is going to the wing. He is still fast with the ball, but he is getting farther and farther away from the goal. His game experience is still too little. He should have passed the ball to Fabiano and pass, beautiful. What happened? Kaka was originally dribbling the ball at high speed on the right side of the big penalty area. It seemed that he was being forced to go to the baseline by the opponent's defender, but when he was approaching the small penalty area, he suddenly hit the ball with his heel and changed direction. Then stopped suddenly and dialed the ball horizontally. This is one of the signature skills of Kaka's good friend Cristiano. The practicality is not bad, the defender who has been following him is almost broken by the inertia, and after he staggers and adjusts his body, Kaka has already rushed towards the goal from the sharp corner of the small penalty area. Thanks to Falcao, under the ruthless fancy skills of the future indoor football emperor, Kaka is now more and more skilled in playing these dazzling little tricks, even if he cannot do small courts under the strong pressing of the opponent because of the poor feel of the ball. This movement does not seem very smooth or even a bit bumpy, but it still achieves very good results when the opponent is caught off guard. Outside the stadium, the fans who were still complaining about Kaka who wasted an attacking opportunity suddenly looked in shock at Kaka who killed the goalkeeper alone, as if someone covered their mouths with a smelly sock. The defender who had just been thrown off by Kaka with a human ball had rushed up at this time, only 2 or 3 steps away from Kaka. The goalkeeper had already attacked, and Kaka's chance was only for a moment. How could he be so fast? Are these guards made of wood? They can't be guarded like this. Opportunity. 1-on-1. Shoot. Shoot. Shoot that damn ball in. As if hearing the voices of the fans, Kaka raised his foot, aimed at the far corner of the goal, and made a push motion. The defender behind him suddenly fell to the ground and came around the shovel, and the goalkeeper also tilted his center of gravity to the left, ready to save. Kaka changed direction again at the moment of shooting, and the outside instep pushed the ball out, just evading the defender's tackle. The goalkeeper just retracted his center of gravity and was about to pounce. Who knew that Kaka didn't adjust at all after passing, and pushed the ball in from the near corner of the goal with a flick of his ankle. The goalkeeper only had time to bend over, and it didn't look like he was trying to make a save, but he was going to shoot the ball up. It was useless. The moment the football crossed the goal line, the shouts around the stadium suddenly came like a tsunami, and the fans of São Paulo jumped from their seats. All the voices finally converged into one meaningless word, Kaka Kaka. This is the case when a group of people recite together, and there is nothing wrong with it. Shoot, no, it's a fake move, passed, goll. Beautiful breakthrough, wonderful goal. Kaka scored after passing 3 people in a row. He defeated Botafogo's entire defense alone. It was a great and incredible individual performance, the first game, the first touch, the first goal. There is no doubt that São Paulo has a genius. Let us remember his name, Ricardo. Kaka. Kaka turned around and ran to the sidelines, while raising his head slightly, raised his arms, stretched out his index finger, and pointed to the sky. The afternoon sun shone, illuminating his smile and warming the entire stadium. Time seemed to stand still. This scene is like an oil painting. This young man is like a heavenly being. There are always some scenes in life that can be frozen in the depths of memory and will never be forgotten. For the field of football, Kaka's action of raising his hands and looking up at the sky is definitely one of the famous scenes that can be recorded in history. It is no less classic. Yu Qingxia drinks, Zhu Xian puts on clothes, Zhang Min looks back, and Zhu Jun blinks in Hong Kong movies, all of which can be recalled in various still and moving images after years of baptism. A few years later, a Chinese fan who watched the video of the game probably also experienced this kind of mental shock similar to witnessing the historical moment. He typed a line of slightly exaggerated text on the keyboard and liked it for a while. Countless, barrage screen. See Kaka mistaken for life. Chapter 12 Stride away like a shooting star. Kaka's father Bosco and mother Simone looked at each other, and then looked at the figure on the field who was raising his hands and looking up at the sky in disbelief. Playing football is a very formal job in Brazil, but for Kaka, football is not the only choice, let alone the best choice. Although the green field is a shortcut to prosperity, it is also a highly competitive, even fierce and tragic road. For many Brazilian players, professional football is the only way out, but Kaka is different. Good education and background mean he can have more and more comfortable choices, so his parents don't agree with Kaka's taking football as his career, and they even repel him. Encourage him to regain his confidence. But the scene they saw now has shaken their mentality. Maybe his son is really a football genius. The young players of the São Paulo youth team were also cheering for the team to equalize the score, but there was something different about those smiles. A few days ago, everyone was still a teammate of the youth team, and it was not even certain when they would be able to truly set foot on the professional field, but after only a few days, Kaka has already shined in the first team. I'm jealous. Especially Captain Harrison, although he clapped his hands, he felt somewhat uncomfortable. This opportunity, this honor, should have been his. Go to the fucking Youth Cup. Falcao looked at Kaka, who became the focus of everyone's attention, and his heart was also hot. It is also professional football, but indoor football is different from the 11-a-side system. Among other things, it is difficult to see such a scene of tens of thousands of people cheering together in an indoor stadium. You must know that this is just an ordinary cup match, and the commotion is bigger than a final of indoor football. I believe that no professional player can calm down in such a scene. He knows Kaka's strength, it is indeed very strong, but he is not weaker than him, even better than him in many places, even Kaka can succeed, than he. Falcao, who had intended to develop in the direction of the 11, quietly clenched his fists. It was lively in the stands, and the coaching bench was also not too much. Alvarez, who had just walked back to his seat to drink water after the substitution, did not see the whole process of the goal. When he saw the bench and the coaching staff rush out to cheer, the ball had already entered the goal. What happened? Goal, Vayton. Goal. Of course I knew the goal was scored. I asked who, no, how did it go? Alvarez saw Kaka who was celebrating, and his tone was full of surprise and strong disbelief. That kid. That Ricardo, no, Kaka. He passed the defender and scored the ball. It was wonderful. Ha ha ha. I knew he was a genius. I knew he could do it. Yes, yes, yes. You all know that you have the best vision. You are a coach and you are awesome. Fabiano rushed to Kaka, jumped on his back, and shouted excitedly, "Great, Kaka." Other teammates rushed over and surrounded them, patting Kaka on the shoulder or ravaging his hair. "Huh, brother, you are too good, you scored in the first game, come and give me some luck." "It's not just the first game, it's the first time I've touched the ball. I've been playing for 3 years and I haven't scored a single goal. So is it you who are too bad or Kaka who is too good?" Botafogo's head coach cursed a few words on the sidelines, and also started to make substitutions. Botafogo replaced a midfielder with a striker. It seems that they are not willing to get a draw. Sao Paulo, be careful, this goal is very good, but there is a certain element of luck. They must contain Botafogo's offensive, otherwise Kaka's goal is completely meaningless. After the start of the game, Botafogo really strengthened his offensive. Sao Paulo's defense felt a lot of pressure. Kaka also had to return to his own half to participate in the defense. He has very few chances to get the ball. It's just not easy for the Botafogo players who are in charge of defending him. This kid is really good at running. One left and one right, slippery as hell. In fact, for a midfielder, the most important thing is to let his teammates find him, and then pass the ball or dribble to connect the front and rear courts, instead of using a lot of running without the ball to open up space like a center forward, so this running position is not very necessary, and it is easy to throw one's own midfield into chaos. Fortunately, Sao Paulo is on the defensive side most of the time, and Kaka's crazy running did not let the team mess up first. This kind of running quickly received results. In the 80th minute of the game, Botafogo sent the ball into Sao Paulo's goal with a long pass from the side. Their number 9 burst out like a rocket and fired a header to the goal. Beautiful header. Oh. It's a pity that Cheney's concentration is too high. The captain of Sao Paulo leaps high and hits the ball with both fists. Let's see if Botafogo still has a chance. Sao Paulo's central defender Lugano rushed out from the goal and snatched the ball before the opponent's midfielder. He was about to clear the ball with his big feet when he suddenly heard someone shout, "Here." It was the voice of the rookie Zayashweguo. Under normal circumstances, Lugano must have kicked the ball out according to the predetermined plan, but Kaka has won his trust through his performance on the training field and in the game, and he did not hesitate to send the ball to the goal. Kicked where the sound came from. Botafogo's midfielder was right in front, and Lugano had no chance to look up at all, so the ball was passed in a hurry, and he had time to turn his head to look over after he finished the pass. This look made him want to hug his head in shame. Listening to the sound and identifying the position is not something everyone can play. Lugano's ball is at least 3 meters away from Kaka, and he is ready to roll out of the touchline. Lugano passed the ball. Oh, it was a clearance, he kicked the ball out of Kaka. He rushed very fast. The ball was saved and the Sao Paulo team took the ball, another chance to counterattack. Kaka chased after the football, arrived just before the ball was about to go out of bounds, knocked the ball back into the field with his heel, and rushed forward a few steps before stopping the car. Baptista gets the ball from his penalty area. Kaka, who had already run outside the sideline, hurried back to the court. Baptista took a few steps along the sideline and met Botafogo's fullback. He had to stop and pass the ball back to Kaka. Kaka didn't stop the ball, but directly pushed the ball forward, and then chased after him with strides. This seemingly ordinary move will appear in countless football articles in the Far East in the future, and it will be given a very cool and vivid name. Stride. Chapter 13 Twists and Turns, a perfect debut. One thing I have to mention is that Kaka, who has the striding star in advance, is very mature in dribbling skills, and he doesn't look like a fledgling at all. Although there is no excellent ball field to support, the power of striding meteors cannot be maximized, but with the addition of skills, his dribbling speed can already surpass the dust on this court, and Botafogo is also in the world football. It's just an inconspicuous little role, and there is no defensive champion in the team who can face Kaka head-on. Since the rookies are pecking at each other, the rookie one is doomed to have a bloody head. The Botafogo defender, who was defending Baptista, rushed directly to Kaka, and did not hesitate to shovel his legs. Kaka's goal just now left a deep impression on him. If he can't stop the ball immediately, who knows what this kid will do. As if Kaka didn't see it, he passed the ball again and rushed out at an accelerated speed, just avoiding the defender's tackle. Botafogo's goalkeeper jumped up nervously, and kept saying to his defenders, "Quick, quick. Stop him." Kaka dribbles the ball at high speed in the middle, His way of dribbling is very strange, the distance between the ball and the person is very far away. Come down, it's going to be rushed, whether it's a drive or a pass, well, pretend I didn't say that. Kaka has already encountered the second defender, but he has no intention of slowing down at all. He rushed over like a stunned young man who just started playing football, startling the defenders who were guarding against his fake moves. Flick the ball with the right foot, avoid the interception by changing direction slightly, and continue to rush forward. He was even in the mood to open the system interface and glanced at it. The dribbling speed on it had changed to 92, but there was a parenthesis behind it, which said stride meteor bonus. Kaka's dribbling speed was originally 89, which means that striding meteors added 3 points to him. He doesn't know what level 92's dribbling speed is, he only knows that when he uses strides, almost no one in the entire São Paulo team can catch up with him. Apparently, the same goes for Botafogo. Kaka once again ran into the enemy's half like a gust of wind, and quickly approached the front of the penalty area. The nearest Botafogo player behind him had already been thrown away by 5 or 6 meters. There was nothing to be afraid of. All he had to solve was the 3 in front of him. Defender. Kaka is about to enter the penalty area, and he still doesn't slow down, Luis Fabiano. He receives a pass from Kaka and hits the wall. The football is back at Kaka's feet, shoot. Kaka kicked and shot directly when no one thought of it. He had just stepped on the penalty area line, and they were still about 20 meters away from the goal. As soon as Fabiano passed the ball, he shot the ball directly without making any adjustments at all. The ball wasn't flying very fast, but there was a clear arc, and the Botafogo goalkeeper responded by diving towards the ball. The hearts of Botafogo's players have been half-cooled. Anyone with a little experience can see that this ball cannot be caught. The players on the São Paulo bench were already on their feet, ready to cheer, when the ball hit the crossbar with a bang and flew high. A sigh of regret came from the stands, and Fabiano next to him also gave a regretful TSK. Botafogo's defenders ran towards the falling football, preparing to clear it, only to see a São Paulo player rushing towards him like a beast before he could even get close. It's Baptista. After he passed the ball, he didn't stand still and watch Kaka's performance, but rushed up to participate in the attack. Baptista. He's fast, and he's very accurate in predicting where the football will land. Volley. This shot was groundbreaking. So fast and suddenly, the goalkeeper hadn't even had time to get up, and could only watch helplessly as the football flew towards the goal. Just when the São Paulo players and fans were about to cheer, with the sound of duong, the goal crossbar of the Morumbi Stadium once again denied the shot of its own players. The football bounced again, and farther. Kaka ran towards the landing point of the football, but saw Fabiano also rushing towards the football. In order to avoid crashing, he quickly changed direction and bypassed it. Fabiano touched the ball before the opponent's defender and also shot directly, but missed the spot. The football was hit by his calf and flew high. The volley that was originally full of momentum turned into a crooked lob. Botafogo's goalkeeper moved quickly in front of the goal and barely got the ball out before it was ready to fly in from the dead corner. To be precise, it was dialed to Kaka's feet. Kaka stopped the big gift package that was delivered to the door steadily, and even had time to look up at the goal, and then easily pushed the ball into the net. Luis got the ball, oh bad shot. Botafogo escaped again, were their defenders asleep? Conceded to Kaka. Goal. 2-1. São Paulo completed the reversal. It's Kaka again. An incredible rookie, he scored twice in his first game. Along with Yek Kafu's exclamation, the live camera also showed Kaka card a close-up. The young Sao Paulo midfielder seemed to have not recovered from the surprise, and ran to the sidelines after reconfirming that the ball had been scored. This time, he was thrown to the ground by Baptista and Fabiano before he had time to make a pretentious gesture of pointing his hands to the sky. The teammates at the back followed up one by one, buried Kaka at the bottom, and turned into a veritable burly man. It was a dribble. We didn't see smart moves or strong confrontations. The Botafogo defenders were like logs watching Sao Paulo shoot against the crossbar in their own box. The football went to the goal by itself. At the feet of Kaka, facing the opportunity that appeared, Kaka was very calm. This boy's sneakers must have been kissed by God today, but we have to see that it was his wonderful breakthrough that made the Sao Paulo team continue. Shot chance, he deserved the goal. It was a perfect debut. Kaka, who just got up from the ravages of his teammates, stood there, looking a little embarrassed, but it did not prevent him from accepting the cheers of the fans. Alvarez shook his head in disbelief, then clapped incessantly. The surprise brought by the young man was too great, and he still couldn't recover. Botafogo's head coach was furious and greeted several of his defenders one by one. If it wasn't for the fact that the substitution quota had not been used up, he had no doubt that he would let the two central defenders roll off. The substitute came off the field and scored twice to help the team reverse. Regardless of the final score in this game, Kaka has become the biggest winner, but 2-1 is not a score that can relax the leading side, and it may be caught up at any time, even overtaking. For Kaka, a victory is obviously more memorable. He doesn't want to look back on his first game in the future, and the commentary is although Kaka performed very well, the team only gained one game. Draw or although the team lost the game, Kaka performed perfectly in his first performance. So in the rest of the time, when Botafogo pressed heavily on Sao Paulo's goal and started to bombard Sao Paulo's goal, and his teammates began to shrink the defense, Kaka still held on to the score of 2-1 until the end. Actively looking for opportunities to attack. A score of 2-1 is not safe, but a score of 3-1 can be at ease. Well, this is nonsense. In fact, the main reason is that he still wants to score goals. People are greedy, they have scored twice, who doesn't dream about a hat-trick? In the first minute of stoppage time, Botafogo got a good chance to tie the score, but the goal post of the Morumbi Stadium once again became the protagonist, and the rebounded ball was caught by his teammates and passed to Kaka's feet. The opponent's half was more than half empty, and Kaka was able to dash forward again in the middle, and finally sent Fabiano a comfortable through ball. Fabiano didn't waste the opportunity and scored with a low shot. 3-1, the suspense of the game was completely killed. Kaka made 2 shots and 1 pass in just 30 minutes, shining the audience. Chapter 14: The Amazing Brazilian Football. Although I don't want to admit it, we didn't lose to Sao Paulo, but to that young man named Kaka. Botafogo's post-match speech was quoted by many local media in Sao Paulo, which made many people who didn't watch the game fans heard Kaka for the first time, a name that seemed strange even in Brazil. Sao Paulo has a young player who is very similar to Rai, and he is very likely to become another Rai, the famous football commentator Bossett wrote in the column of Folha Sao Paulo on the second day of the game. The same background, the same position, the same elegance, the same brilliance, this young player named Kaka began to follow in the footsteps of his predecessors. We hope that he is not just a flash in the pan, but can become a real midfielder. Superstar. Ray is the younger brother of the famous Brazilian star Socrates. He was born in the Sao Paulo club. He has superb skills and elegant style of play. Rai, who has become a famous Sao Paulo star, is put together. Obviously, the fans are full of good expectations for this young man who has only played one official game. The second lie, this is probably the best compliment for Kaka that Sao Paulo fans can think of at the moment. This kind of evaluation is of course a compliment and honor, but in other words, Rai is the template they are looking for Kaka, and it may also be the upper limit that Kaka can achieve in many people's hearts. Kaka's original idol was Rai, but for Kaka now, the second Rai probably means if you don't work hard, you can only be the second Rai. So on the second day after the game, when many teammates took advantage of the rare holiday to spend time and drink, Kaka, who was most qualified and had the most reason to celebrate the victory, came to the indoor court early and continued to hone his little football through futsal. Technology. He can't be as strict and perverted as Ronaldo in terms of self-discipline, but he has been a human being for 2 lives and knows the approximate height he can reach, so he has a little bit of honor and disgrace in his dealings with others. It can't be called Buddhism, but at least the mentality is much more mature than ordinary young people. Kaka is quite clear about his current situation. The system is his biggest capital, but the only help he can provide at present is a dribbling skill and a long-range shooting talent. These 2 specialties are enough to gain a foothold in the Brazilian league, but they are far from the perfect Kaka he envisioned. Too far, too far. Generally speaking, no matter how talented a superstar is, there is still a process of growth. It takes a long time for their technical style and practical skills to take shape and mature, but the system directly helps Kaka omit this. In the process, the stride meteor, which was polished and perfected in his peak period, was installed on his body as simply and rudely as an app, so that he can successfully make a blockbuster in his first show even if his ball sense is not so outstanding and his experience is not so rich. The general future stars have great potential but mediocre strength, but Kaka is just the opposite. He already has good technical and tactical strength at a young age, but his potential is a mess. Of course, the potential mentioned here excludes such plugins of the system. There are too many uncertainties in the fantasy side of the system. If you really want to complete the epic task of hanging mellow, you probably have to beat yourself to death. When you clearly realize that your all-out efforts are not as good as other people's casual messing around, it means you should be tougher on yourself. This is also the main reason why he does not miss any free time. He only played for 30 minutes yesterday, so his energy consumption was not high, and the intensity of the 5-a-side system was completely trivial to him, and there was no possibility of fatigue. Falcao is a professional player and has reported back to the club. Now Kaka's friends in the indoor court are mostly retired futsal players or folkmasters. Kaka is not targeting anyone. For him, regardless of physical fitness and competitive quality, everyone here is a big shot. Everyone first congratulated him on his performance in the last game and praised him severely, and then tortured him to death on the court. There was still training the next day, and Kaka didn't play very late, but chose to escape after enjoying himself a little. After entering the first team, Kaka won't even have many chances to practice, let alone go out to have fun like this. Because the game tasks of various professional teams in Brazil are terrible. In addition to the National League and the Football Association Cup that are implemented in all countries, all 26 states and one capital federal district in Brazil have their own state leagues. In addition to various intercontinental competitions, training with games has become the norm for Brazilian clubs. As far as the São Paulo team is concerned, there is only one thing all year round, and that is non-stop games. From January to May, the São Paulo State League has not yet been reformed. The game system adopted is similar to the regular season and playoffs of the American Major League. After 5 months, 15 games in a single cycle cannot run. If you enter the playoffs or even win the championship, you can play up to 19 games. From May to December, the Brazilian Football League, that is, the National League, has 20 teams in a double cycle and 38 games. From July to November, the São Paulo State Cup. The number of teams participating in this competition is not fixed every year. Calculated according to the double round-robin group stage, if it reaches the final, it is conservatively estimated that there will be 20 games. March-November, Brazil Cup, in theory, they can participate in a total of 14 games in 7 rounds at most, and strong teams can participate in a total of 8 games in the last 4 rounds at most. From February to July, Copa Libertadores, from participating in the playoffs to reaching the finals, there are a total of 16 games. Adding these 5 events together, the São Paulo team can play more than 100 games in a natural year. This is not counting the South American Cup. According to the rules, a team can play both the Copa Libertadores and the South American Cup at the same time, which is equivalent to a European team can play the Champions League and the Europa League at the same time. Football Kingdom is so capricious. The most conservative estimate is 100 games in 365 days, with an average of 3.5 games, that is, double matches a week throughout the year. However, this is just an average. The real schedule is far more perverted than you think. For example, the Brazilian League can often have 2 rounds separated by only 24 hours. Do not give way to continue driving, only during the World Cup will be off for a month. Let's look at an example. Brazil's traditional giants Palmeiras planned to hit the Triple Crown in 1999. As a result, the quarterfinals of the Copa Libertadores, the Brazilian Cup, and the State League all crashed. The schedule is 3 games a day. The brave Palmeiras did not go on strike. They were either in the game or on the way to the game that day. They really finished 3 games in one day. Of course, apart from the Copa Libertadores, there was no suspense that they lost the other 2 games that day. It can be said that Kaka is very lucky. In his 2 lifetimes, he has experienced the 2 most amazing countries in the field of football. One is that the national team can't win, and the other is that the club team is always playing non-stop. Chapter 15: A short-lived epithelum. Non-existent. On February 4, 2001, in the São Paulo State League, São Paulo played against Santos. Santos is an outer port city in the state of São Paulo, only 75 kilometers away from São Paulo, so this is a derby. São Paulo was holding their breath, because they hadn't beaten their opponents for 5 years. Kaka, who was amazing in the last game, did not get the chance to start and continued to sit on the bench. On the one hand, he was not fully integrated into the team's tactical system as a rookie, and on the other hand, it has been 3 months without a match and Alvarez is concerned about his form. Almost exactly like the previous game, São Paulo fell behind early on. São Paulo's defense was not good. Santos got a lot of chances in the first half. It is understandable to score 1, but Santos' defense is not very good. São Paulo's 5 consecutive shots have not been converted into goals. It's more speechless. Alvarez glanced at the bench, and the bench players couldn't help puffing out their chests like concubines waiting for the emperor's flop. Kaka, Burgess, warm up. Burgess let out a heartless, and immediately got up and ran out, probably forgetting that his team is still behind. Kaka is going to play, and with him is Gibbs. This is also a young player who has just been transferred from the São Paulo youth team to the first team. Perhaps Kaka's outstanding performance has given Alvarez a taste of the sweetness. He has become very bold in the use of young people, and I hope this young striker will not disappoint him. Of course, the fans may be more concerned about whether Kaka can perform as well as he did 3 days ago. The regional leagues in the traditional sense of each country are the bottom of the National Football League pyramid. Simply put, national competitions are better than provincial, state, competitions, but Brazil is the complete opposite. Their state leagues are completely independent. The Football Association is not under the control of the Brazilian Football Association, and the competition system of each state is completely determined by itself, and whether it is in the minds of clubs or fans, the leagues of the respective states are more important than the national leagues. Although the scope of influence is limited to the state of São Paulo, the football market in the state of São Paulo alone is already bigger than the Chinese Super League, so this São Paulo State League has received a lot of attention. Mind you, everyone is desperate to know if he was lucky to score 2 goals or if he just had some real skills. Kaka didn't become very calm just because he had already played once, but he did a good job on the surface, at least he looked much calmer than the impatient Burgess. In the 19th minute of the second half, the score was 1-0, and Kaka came off the bench. What a familiar script, I hope Kaka can also contribute a familiar performance. The Santos team attaches great importance to Kaka, and it is definitely not possible to say that they are facing a big enemy, but it is certainly impossible to expect them to be as frustrated as Botafogo. Had a decent shot. This is a long pass from the midfield. All Burgess needs to do is stop the ball with his chest, turn around slightly and face the goal. The nearest defender is 3 bodies away from him. Unlike the usual frizz, Burgess was still calm when he took the ball on the field. I saw him stop the ball firmly under his feet, flick it forward, and kick directly to hit the goal. The football flew into the sky majestically like a fired shell. Fabiano on the other side spread his hands. His position just now was actually not bad. If Burgess had been more selfless, the score might have become 1-1 by now. The Santos team kicked the goal kick. The goalkeeper did not kick it wide, but passed the ball to the fullback, and then launched an attack through a surprise attack from the wing. The attack soon came to nothing. What frustrates them is a beast whose claws have not yet fully grown. Baptista's beautiful tackle grabbed the ball for São Paulo. I know that many people looked at Kaka immediately like me. Unfortunately, Kaka was closely marked. It was Akito who came to meet him. Another long ball and this time it's Luiz. Luis Fabiano jumped up and stopped the ball, and then passed the ball to the top of the penalty area. There are defensive players on both sides of him, and the shooting angle is not suitable. He originally planned to pass the ball to Burgess, but from the corner of his eye, he saw Kaka who was plugging in at high speed and subconsciously passed the ball. Kaka made a move to hit the goal, and Santos' defender rushed up to block it. Kaka dunked the ball with his right foot, which turned into a breakthrough. He took a step across and stretched out his foot to block the ball. Kaka quickly counterattacked, but the opponent had already cleared the ball. The São Paulo team's offense ended without a problem, and the Santos midfielder who was in charge of man-marking Kaka arrived in a hurry at this time. What a fake move, is this a talented player from São Paulo? My cousin's moves are more realistic than him. It's been a long time since São Paulo has seen a genius, so that both guys can enter the first team. Santos coach Lula's heart tightened when he saw Kaka receiving the ball, and he stood up. Even after Kaka was robbed, he didn't relax. Exaggerated, Botafogo was too careless to be beaten like that by a rookie. Lula stood on the sidelines with her shoulders crossed, her eyes fixed on Kaka, her brows tightly wrinkled. No coach dares to ignore a player who can score 3 goals after coming off the bench, even if that player is only 2 months away from turning 19. The technique is relatively rough and the organization ability is poor, but the running ability is strong, the mentality is calm, the daring to make moves, and the ability to pass the shot remains to be seen. Not only Lula secretly observed in his heart, but also all the ghosts and snakes in the stands also because of a short after touching the ball, he constantly updated his evaluation of Kaka. Poor shooting, failed breakthrough, Alvarez's lad did not show convincing ability, we can't easily judge a player because of 1 or 2 games, especially when this player is still mature. In the long run, but it's clear that Burgess and Kaka are still some way away from being true superstars, and Alvarez can't count on his super rookie to turn into a super substitute every time he falls behind. It is necessary to strengthen the tactical arrangement. Banner TV broadcasted the game, and the commentator was still their head commentator, Yek Kafu, and Kaka left him a deep impression, so he was very impressed. Kaka also pays special attention. Kaka gave a thumbs up to Fabiano, who made a good pass, and then returned to defense. He didn't know that his performance had attracted the attention of countless scouts and fans, but he knew that there must be many people questioning his strength, and he also knew that these doubts would soon dissipate, because there is never a flash in the pan in the script of hanging up. Chapter 16 I'm actually a striker. Santos' attack also failed, and it was Baptista who ended their offensive. This young midfielder was the biggest discovery of São Paulo last season. He was not only energetic and active in running, but also extremely accurate. This season has made rapid progress, but because of the position, it has received less attention. It was also born out of nowhere, and the attention Kaka attracted was much more exaggerated. It would not be an exaggeration to say that it was the focus of the audience. The biggest advantage of the substitute players is their sufficient physical strength, so Kaka has never been stingy with his running. In the midfield, he was caught in a fierce fight with the Santos players. Let alone the defensive ability, the attitude must be in place anyway. In the reports of many scouts, comments such as active defense, but defensive skills and defensive awareness are a little green, and there is a possibility of becoming an all-round midfielder after accumulating enough experience, and just like they have seen as it came out, Kaka is not only a little green in defense, but also quite average in terms of organization and scheduling. His passing ability is still good. Basically, every time he passes, he can accurately find his teammates and allow the opponent to receive it comfortably. However, for the role of organizing midfielder, passing is only a basic skill. And mastering the rhythm is the key. Kaka's passing is more out of instinct. He passes it when he sees which teammate is in a good position. As for the next step or even the next step, it is up to fate. In fact, the situation on the field is changing rapidly. Many midfield masters pass the ball just like Kaka. Most of them are out of instinct. It is impossible to have any space and time for thinking, but after analysis by various experts, they found that there are obviously 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6 passing routes around him, but he can choose the best one. Not only avoided the defense, but also opened up the situation, making the messy midfield suddenly smooth and clear. In fact, people spread it blindly. I am afraid that when they spread it, they didn't know if there was anyone in that place to respond, but the spread was good and reasonable. This kind of thing depends on the tacit understanding of teammates on the one hand, and the accumulation of experience on the other, but the most important thing is that two words, talent. Some people have been students for decades, but the handwriting they write is not as good-looking as the era at home who pissed on the ground casually, while some people deal with steel and concrete every day, but the handwriting they write is impressive. Amazing, good-looking don't want it. This is talent. I have a few caddies and a few tails. Kaka still has a little bit of money in his heart, so when he gets the ball, he prefers to take the ball to the vicinity of the penalty area, and then choose to pass or shoot according to the situation. This is not the case in Brazilian football. It seems so abrupt, because the Brazilian team is notoriously weak in terms of tactical literacy, which is simply two extremes with European teams. Compared with cooperating with teammates, most Brazilian players or South American players prefer to bring their own. The ball breaks through. A clip in the movie Become Famous is very illustrative. The head coach throws a ball forward, and then asks the protagonist Santiago to chase it. The head coach asked in a daze, "What did you think of?" and Santiago was stunned for a moment, then he said stupidly that maybe I could shoot halfway. The coach said no, the ball always runs faster than you, so we have to pass the ball. So for a coach, a player who can pass the ball is a good player, and a player who can pass the ball well is a top player, but for the unrestrained Brazilian, the problem that I can solve by myself is to pass a ball of wool what? Pulling away, let's talk about the game. Kaka's second game was far more difficult than the first, and he enjoyed the defensive treatment that only core players can have, which also made it difficult for São Paulo's midfielder. São Paulo is in trouble again. Kaka has not been able to play the role of a super substitute. When the breakthrough is limited, his poor organizational skills cannot help the team open the situation. The youngster is still a long way from being a top midfielder. Cafu's words basically represent the aspirations of a large part of the football emperors. Fast speed, strong breakthrough ability, good passing ability but poor vision and overall situation view, suitable for counterattacks, not suitable for midfield commanders. This is everyone's judgment on Kaka, probably the two Kakas at the moment the biggest difference in a period. What the fans can see, of course Alvarez can see it too. He called the assistant coach to his side, the two communicated and quickly made adjustments. "Lula, warm up." The assistant coach shouted to a young black player on the bench. Well, this guy seems to have the same name as the head coach of the Santos team, or the same nickname. Nickname? Abbreviation? God knows what. Huh. Lula froze for a moment, then stood up ecstatically and began to warm up. Lula is a jack-of-all-trades player, except for the goalkeeper and the referee. He can play in all positions on the field, but he is not very good, so unless the current situation is full of injuries, he will rarely be able to play. What opportunities to play in important games. Go up and replace Luis. Alvarez called Lula who had finished warming up to his side and told him. Luis? I play forward. Lula asked uncertainly. Although he can play in any position, the forward is the worst position he plays, and objectively speaking, Fabiano played quite well in this game, at least more reliable than Burgess who just played. You play in midfield. Alvarez's words let Lula know that he was thinking too much. Let Kaka go forward and play center forward. Lula understood in seconds. It seems that the coach has given up on Kaka's organizational ability. This is to let himself organize the offense and liberate Kaka. Well, it really is still the life of the support. Lula was well aware of his position and came to the fourth official to wait for the dead ball. The São Paulo team made the last substitution. This time it was the teenager Lula. Well, almost all of them are teenagers. The average age of this team is less than 25 years old. He wants to replace it turned out to be Luis Fabiano. Is Alvarez crazy? Cafu also subconsciously believed that this was a counter-substitution. Many people also expressed doubts about Alvarez's substitution. Fabiano, who has just arrived, has made rapid progress and is already the most threatening player in the São Paulo team. Everyone does not think Lula has the ability to replace him. Fabiano left the field with a displeased face. Lula hugged him and ran to Kaka, saying, Kaka, you play Luis's position, and I will play in the midfield. I play forward. Sounds good, hey? Chapter 17 Kaka Chong Duck. I forgot which celebrity said it, just take it as Lu Sun. Mr. Lu Sun said, every good player should have a heart to charge. I can't say all of them, but at least 80% of the players have had a forward dream. Who the hell cares about making wedding dresses for others or even wiping their butts when they can destroy the city in the front and enjoy the cheers of the crowd? Of course, except for those salted fish who only like to stand behind the boss and call 666. Kaka is certainly not a salted fish. Although he mainly played in the midfield in the youth team, he also played as a forward, so he is no stranger to this position. Lula did not go up the front line, but moved in the midfield area. Kaka replaced Luis. It seems that Alvarez intends to make full use of Kaka's speed to attack the Santos defense. Is this a trick? Stinky chess is still a coup, let us wait and see. Everyone generally has a relatively positive attitude towards this adjustment. Kaka's technical characteristics are not the same as the offensive midfielder in people's impression. His static ball protection and scheduling skills are not good enough. On the contrary, he has a strong impact with the ball. A sharp knife on the front line, people's concept of the position of midfielder will be redefined only after Gerard Lampard, Barak and other all-around midfielders start to become famous. Today's forwards are not like those of later generations. Players are required to be able to pass, shoot, hold the ball and be a fulcrum. Facts have proved that Alvarez, an unknown head coach in world football, is still good at commanding on the spot. In the 74th minute of the game, the Santos team attacked. Baptista failed to block the opponent's penetration this time, allowing the Santos team to pile the ball into the penalty area. The two forwards of Santos found an excellent shot through an exquisite cooperation. Thanks to the captain Cheney's quick reaction, in almost impossible circumstances dedicated a world-class save, saved the Sao Paulo team back from the death line. The football was obtained by the defender of Sao Paulo and was successfully cleared out of the penalty area. Lula took the ball in his own half, and without thinking about it, he lobbed a pass. The football flew high and landed 5 or 6 meters behind the midfield line. Kaka rushed towards the football facing his own half, and the opposing defender followed him closely to prevent him from stopping the ball and turning around, while signaling his teammates to follow the other players of the Sao Paulo team. Kaka didn't stop the ball, but rubbed it lightly. The football flew up again, over the heads of himself and the Santos defender, and fell in the direction of the Santos goal. He then turned around and chased wildly. This was a simple pick-and-roll turnaround. Because the strength and timing were not perfect, or Kaka's technique was too rough, this dribble also seemed a bit rough. The defender defending Kaka was not thrown away immediately. But because the football was picked far enough, Kaka had enough space to give full play to his speed advantage. After 2 accelerations, he successfully got rid of the defender's defense. Santos defenders did not press forward, so there are 3 defenders between Kaka and the goalkeeper, plus Burgess at the top. This is a 2-on-3 situation. It can be said that the situation is still very good for Santos. Favorable, but Santos fans are instinctively palpitating. Although Kaka's previous breakthroughs were blocked, and although his dribbling didn't look subtle or delicate enough, Kaka seemed to be born with an aura when he dribbled the ball. No one could tell what it was. Anyway, it just feels a bit dick. The moment he caught up with the ball, it seemed that someone turned up the volume key on the court, and all kinds of discussions suddenly broke out. Fast pass 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 pass. Pass the ball. Kaka duck. Bring the ball into their goal. Here he goes again, dribbling like a piece of shit and still liking sticking to the ball so much. What if you don't take the ball? Pass the ball to the striker who likes to shoot. I won't lie to you, my grandma is prettier than him with the ball. I won't lie to you, Ronaldo is not as fast as him with the ball. I'm not kidding you, Ronnie can blow him out. As many fans are saying, before he became famous, not many people would think that Kaka's dribbling is beautiful. When he dribbles, people think more of speed than technology. In fact, Kaka's absolute speed is far from hopeless, at least he has not been able to crush and bloody all defenders, but in terms of starting speed and acceleration, he is definitely at the historical level. Soccer is different from sprinting. The 100-meter score is nothing but floating clouds. What everyone values most is the speed and explosive power in the first 30 or even 15 meters. Unfortunately, Kaka is top-notch in this respect. Santos' midfield was squeezed into Sao Paulo's half, and now there are only 3 of the 4 defenders left. One defends Burgess, and the other 2 rush to Kaka without thinking. Kaka didn't pass the ball and also rushed towards them. Lu Sun also said that when it comes to counterattacks, speed players are gods on the field. The current Kaka is a typical speed player, and until the sense of the ball has not improved by leaps and bounds and the street ball skills are not fully integrated into his technical system, speed will be his most important weapon. Without feinting or even slowing down, Kaka took the ball in a simple and casual way and rushed between the two defenders, and then faced the attacking goalkeeper with a small angle push and scored. From catching the ball to breakthrough to completion, it takes at most 10 seconds. Probably many female fans felt for the first time that those who shoot fast can also be real men. Omega equals. The Santos players looked helpless. They asked themselves that Kaka paid enough attention to it. Not only did they send one person to mark it, but they didn't press all of them when the offensive was at its peak. Instead, they left 4 defenders to prevent Sao Paulo from counterattacking. People broke through the defenses. It is probably the most popular and most difficult way to score goals in football. Kaka put on a smile that Santos looked very flat, and ran to the sidelines while pointing his hands to the sky. The broadcast camera gave a close-up of his upper body to save face, and a picture comparable to a superstar poster was frozen on the TV screens of countless viewers in Brazil. That face was so handsome that it was not shocking, but it had a strange charm, warming people's hearts like sunshine. This is a face that makes people look very comfortable, and it is easy to gain the favor of others. Many fans fell completely at this moment and became lifelong fans, who will never change until death. Goal! It's Kaka again. He saved the team once again. This is not a bad luck, nor a sneak attack or a pickup, but a complete frontal attack. Kaka used his seemingly special plate beating Santos in a belt way. We saw him pointing his hands to the sky again. It is said that this kid is a devout believer, maybe he is thanking God for the gift. Kaka is indeed thanking God, but it has nothing to do with God. He doesn't believe in God. Vaccine system. Chapter 18. Young and promising without inferiority complex. Forget which celebrity said it, just take it as Confucius. Confucius said, for the same B, if you go south, you will be SB, and if you go north, you will be NB. Therefore, the most important thing in life is the direction. There are countless life directions for the reborn person, and there are thousands of life paths that Kaka can choose, and being a football player is definitely not the best option among them. Fierce confrontation, boring training, masochistic lifestyle, and even the risk of breaking his leg. Although it comes with fame and fortune that ordinary people can't match, for Kaka, it is nearly 20 years ahead of him. Years of vision made it easier for him to achieve this goal, and there was absolutely no need to make his life so stressful and bitter. Besides, the road to becoming a superstar has never been smooth sailing. Although he made himself look full of confidence, although he obtained a system that looked awesome, and although he blinded countless people in the first game, but he couldn't delude himself into denying that he had actually been wavering. This kind of wavering is not only the worry about gains and losses after making a choice, but also the lack of confidence in himself even if he hypnotizes himself with the lame excuse of there is no short-lived in the pan in the world of hanging men, but he actually knows clearly that he and genius, how big is the difference. Kaka is a genius, but he is not. He became Kaka, but he is not really Kaka. A twisting and twisting line finally turned into a perfect circle the moment the ball entered the goal. If the super performance in the first game can also be attributed to the contempt of the opponent and the care of luck, then this goal finally allowed him to smash those hesitation, panic, confusion and anxiety. Thank you Santos, you let me know that I am so awesome. Well, it's just a goal, and this thing is starting to float. This is actually a very contradictory psychology. Sometimes I feel that I am weak, but my performance is very beautiful. Sometimes I feel that I am very good, but when I think about it carefully, I feel that I have nothing to show for it. Not everyone is Ronaldo. They will always look like Lao Tzu's #1 dick in the world. He is firm and inferior, dazed and confident, and grows and matures slowly in the constant hammering of self-affirmation and self-denial. Success is what most people want. Normal. No matter what Kaka thinks about it, anyway, this goal has completely established his position in the minds of coaches and teammates, and also made opponents truly feel his threat. Santos, who was tied with the score, did not make personnel adjustments, but there were tactical changes, especially the defense against Kaka was a bit too cautious. Although Kaka was successfully frozen, it made other Sao Paulo the players let go of their hands and feet completely. The situation began to become more and more favorable to Sao Paulo, and even luck seemed to be on Sao Paulo's side. The Santos forward's header from the edge of the 6-yard box was blocked by Sao Paulo defender Lugano in front of the goal line, and the ensuing strafing shot was saved by Cheney flying in, and then the third follow-up shot turned into a stunning clearance. I wonder if the guy who shot the goal is playing infernal affairs. Santos head coach Dianiki's face was terribly embarrassed. If Kaka's goal had dealt a serious blow to their momentum, then the 3 consecutive failed shots caused psychological problems for the players. This so-called psychological problem can probably be referred to simply as doubting life. Self-doubt is torture in any situation, but especially on the court. Santos players seemed a little timid, but Sao Paulo played more and more smoothly. Although he didn't get an ideal shooting opportunity, he successfully reversed the offensive and defensive situation. In the final stage of the game, Santos tried to counterattack but was cut off the ball in midfield. The football went around a few times and came to Baptista's feet. Kaka watched Baptista with the ball while running. The Santos defender followed Kaka. Almost inseparable, Kaka ran left, right, front, back and all directions but couldn't get rid of his defense. The opponent stuck to him like brown sugar, and he couldn't get rid of him no matter how hard he tried. But with this run around, Kaka's advantage in physical strength became more obvious. He slowed down slowly, as if about to stop, and suddenly turned and ran wildly when the guard secretly breathed a sigh of relief. Baptista's pass rolled close to the feet of the two at almost the same time. Kaka leaned sideways on the Santos defender, stopped the ball on the instep of his right foot, and then turned around. Oops. The Santos team was horrified to find that Kaka had won a semi-single-handed chance. The reason it is only half is because there is another defender who is almost at the same level as him, and the distance between the two is only about 2 or 3 meters. No one expected that defender to catch Kaka. That half single-handedly quickly turned into one after a simple acceleration by Kaka. The Santos goalkeeper was quick to react, plunging out just as Kaka had put 2 defenders behind him. His sixth sense has been telling him that kid number 23 will still make trouble, so he has been paying attention to Kaka's movements, which made him make the most correct reaction immediately. Kaka's poor sense of the ball was holding back at this time. Although he passed the 2 defenders, he couldn't control the ball immediately, and with the goalkeeper's decisive attack, the football has now come to the middle of the 2. Even if Kaka can touch the ball first, it's up to him. Space and time for shots are scarce. The opportunity was fleeting. Kaka stretched his long legs, and flicked the ball horizontally with his toes. As soon as the football rolled out, the goalkeeper rushed forward, but it was not the football, but Kaka's foot that was hugged. At this time, Burgess rushed to the goal like lightning, and slammed into the goal with the ball. The score went from 1-0 to 1-1 and then to 2-1. The Santos had countless chances to kill the game, but they only took the most difficult one, while Sao Paulo managed only a few shots to take the lead. All this was brought by the 3 people who had just played. To be precise, it was brought by Kaka. The head coach of the Santos team did not yell and reprimand his players, but hugged his shoulders and looked thoughtfully at a few young people who were celebrating wildly. There also happened to be 2 good young men in his team. He originally planned to promote them to the first team next year, but Kaka's performance made him strongly stimulated, and he felt that perhaps more opportunities should be given to young people. Kaka didn't know that after his little butterfly flapped its wings carelessly, the 2 of them would be on the stage of history ahead of schedule. They are sitting on the sidelines now, looking enviously at the brilliant Kaka on the court. One of the 2 little devils was named Diego and the other Robinho. Chapter 19. Only children do multiple choice questions. Forget who said it, this time it's Socrates. Old Sue said that it's also greedy. Ugly people are called gluttons, and good-looking people are called foodies, so people drift in the rivers and lakes. Faces are important. There are also many kinds of good-looking faces. Some are 360-degree without dead ends, stunning from the nose hair to the back of the head. Some are exquisite and look like monsters, making half of the people sick and half of the people licking the screen, and some are born with protagonist faces. Even if they are soy sauce, attracts a lot of attention. Kaka should be counted as the 3rd type. It looks harmless to humans and animals, full of affinity, and it is too dazzling to hide in the crowd. And the little brother is not only good-looking, but also plays the ball very well. He suddenly turned an ordinary state-level league into a large-scale fan scene, and it was the kind that kills all men, women and children. He didn't touch the ball once, but the eyes of most fans were still firmly fixed on him. Until the end of the game, the camera showed more shots of Kaka than the two head coaches combined. The word Kaka also became the word that appeared most frequently in the commentator's mouth. Also started all kinds of fancy flattery. Kaka once again appeared on the field when the team was behind, tearing the opponent's defense to pieces with his fast dribbling speed. We have every reason to believe that a dazzling new star is rising. We can no longer look at Kaka with the eyes of a newcomer. He is different. I see the shadow of Ronaldo in him, especially the terrifying explosive power and impact on the goal. I think Alvarez should put Kaka up front. The kid is a disaster in midfield, but up front. His technique is not perfect, but he is able to bring victory to the team. We cannot use the opponent's indifference or good luck as an excuse. The results of the two games have proved that this young man is a real talent. Shit genius, just cheating. Kaka's complaints did not prevent him from becoming famous in 2 battles, and he became known to all São Paulo people at an extraordinary speed. He found that his talent in football was not as bad as he thought. Maybe he is not outstanding in technical learning, but he is very strong in on-the-spot performance. It's hard to say whether it's because of luck or mentality. Anyway, judging from the first 2 games, his performance is actually much better than many talented players of the same age group with similar overall strength. Just like there are always 1 or 2 test bullies in the class other than Shuaba who cannot be explained by common sense. They usually play crazier than anyone else, and even copy their homework from others, but after each exam, their names are always the same. Able to stand in front of a bunch of people. There is no shortage of such strange things in the football world. They look ordinary, even bumping the ball, but once they are on the field, they are like chicken blood. All kinds of unreasonable goals, assists and interceptions can faint a large number of people. In some respects, this combat-type physique is more terrifying than many so-called geniuses. God is so mediocre. This is simply a big bug comparable to the system, and Kaka is complacent, feeling like she is about to fly up to the sky and stand side by side with the sun, so she goes over to light a cigarette. It was also the first show that scored a goal, and Burgess received much less attention than Kaka. Just like what Lao Tzu said, if you have money, you can run rampant in the world. This is a face-to-face world. Burgess also agreed with Lao Tzu's words, so he was very upset. He is obviously more handsome than Kaka, I think, and he plays better than Kaka, I think. Why Mao can only be mentioned by the way when people praise Kaka. What's even more exaggerated is that some newspapers don't even bother to run through it by the way. Burgess, who was angry, not forced, tied, number, was gearing up, ready to compete with Kaka on the training ground. Prove to the coach and teammates who is the rookie king of the São Paulo team, but Kaka, who has always arrived early, did not show up today, and did not show up until the team disbanded, which made Burgess happy for a long time. Kaka, who was absent from training, was of course not lazy, but was called to the general manager's office. He got a raise. From 750 reais directly to 6,000 reais, which is 8 times the previous amount. Calculated by the exchange rate of this year, it looks like 20,000 won coins. Chien is a bastard, but he is so good-looking. Everyone likes him except the bully who has no interest in money. Kaka is no exception, but it's hard to say how excited he is. He played finance in his previous life, and he wasn't a big boss in the circle, but he was barely a small boss, the kind that would drop a few rare blue outfits if he was hacked, and he was eligible to be alone in the forum. So he definitely belongs to the category that does well in his professional field. Do you know what it means for this kind of person to be reborn for more than 10 years? It means that if he wants, he even has the opportunity to become the king of the world. Well, this is a bit ridiculous, but if Kaka is really engaged in his old business, he is indeed confident that he can master a lot of money in a short period of time. Wealth that everyone marvels at. Getting rich may not be as easy as some people imagine for a reborn person, but it is certainly not as difficult as some people imagined. Not to mention the big aspects, just stocks like Facebook, Apple, Amazon, or the inhumane and memorable upsets in the European Cup, World Cup, Champions League and major leagues, and their shocking odds are enough to make a small profit. Netherlands 5:1 defending champion Spain, can you believe it? Germany 7:1 hosts Brazil, can you believe it? Can you believe that Greece won the European Cup? Roma 1:4 away and Barcelona 3 o'clock at home, can you believe it? Leicester City Premier League champions, can you believe it? Liverpool's 3:3 peak AC Milan, you can, the last one can still be believed just by looking at the results. Not to mention, next year's Korea-Japan World Cup is a good opportunity for Reborns to make a fortune. You don't need to remember the detailed score, just remember to follow the Korean team. However, it seems that professional players are not allowed to participate in football-related betting, but it seems that only England has strict laws and regulations in this regard. Other countries, especially magical countries like Brazil, should have a lot of loopholes to exploit. It's just a matter of creating a circle and making less money. In fact, this year also has a good chance. One day in September 2001, an uncle surnamed Ben will create a beautiful landscape in the Eagle country. There will definitely be a far-reaching turmoil in the country's stock market. It seems that Franklin can fish out of troubled waters. Most people don't know how to take advantage of this matter to make money, but because Kaka was set up as a financial genius in his previous life, he just understands. In fact, it's very simple, as long as you do this first, then that, and finally this. If it doesn't work, you can still do this, and you're done. Is it easy? Do not understand? It's right if you don't understand it, and I don't understand it, so I'm poor. Anyway, if there is any dispute about this matter in the future, Kaka's opinion shall prevail. His name is so long, so what he said must be right. It's a pity that Kaka has no funds now, and the uncles and aunts of the FBI and CIA are not easy to mess with. He is destined to miss this opportunity. If it doesn't work, you can still go to Hangzhou to invite Teacher Ma to eat and sing the big sword, but I don't know if it's too late. Of course, these are trails, and he will not enter the business field in a serious manner until he has a certain amount of capital. Soup is still okay. No matter what era it is in, the banknote ability is the biggest plug-in, spanning CCTV 2 and CCTV 5, and business bodies are blooming. This is the correct way for the chosen one to open it. Mr. Lu Sun said a long time ago in what Zhou Shuren said, "What does it have to do with me, Lu Sun, that children only do multiple choice questions, and they always ask for all the quizzes?" Chapter 20 Self-Cultivation of the Midfielder. Forgot it was, I remembered this time, it was Mr. Guodigang, a famous elementary school student in the cross-talk world, who said that if a person is not crazy before the age of 30, he is finished, and if he is still crazy after the age of 30, he is finished. I don't know if this is true, but it sounds awesome anyway, so let's take it as true. Probably in Mr. Guo's view, a person should start to mature at the age of 30, but in fact whether a person is really mature has nothing to do with age, but depends on how he handles himself in good times and bad times. Even if you can't be truly honored and disgraceful, at least you must be able to avoid losing ground. Similarly, whether a person is young is not determined by his physical age, but by his. Forget it, I can't make it up. Anyway, Kaka thinks I will always be 18 years old, 20 years old is fine, at most 22. Lao Tzu's youth will never grow old, and Lao Tzu will always be a teenager. So this stinking face thinks that he can actually go crazy. It's a pity that I can't be crazy today. This is his third game, and he finally got his wish to start. The salary increase in the first 2 days is a signal, which means that the club has fully recognized his ability. It also means that Kaka has not only taken root in the first team, but is also very likely to be trained as a future star of the club. But the future star who started the game did not continue the magical performance of the last 2 games. It's not how awesome the opponent is or how bad Kaka's condition is, but because he committed suicide. In this game, Kaka is still playing an attacking midfielder, or attacking midfielder. At his peak, Kaka was regarded as the model of the modern attacking midfielder. He passed the ball accurately and dribbled like the wind, and he had a cloud-piercing arrow. When he was crazy, he could play a one-stop straight from the midfield to the opponent's goal, making the team's forward seem to have nothing to do. It's extremely embarrassing, and it's too overbearing to have any friends. Before Kaka, when people mentioned the front midfielder, the key words that people thought of were more elegance, being an artist, lifting weights lightly, being a midfield commander, and talking and laughing while the mast and skull disappeared. Of course, from the perspective of future generations, except for a very small number of great masters, most of the Gutsu midfielders' daily games are actually a fierce operation, less than 1.5 meters forward. It sounds so awesome. In contrast, the modern front midfielder has stronger athletic ability, rushes harder, and has a wider range of running. Similarly, it is more prone to injuries. As mentioned in Chapter 3, if a speed player wants to prolong his career, he must rely less on his body and more on his skills. Maybe I ran away myself. Kaka, who has a clear understanding of this point, consciously reduced the high-speed dribbling impact in this game, trying to get rid of the defense by passing the ball and small skills at his feet, connecting teammates in series, and advancing the offense. As a result, he was abused into a dog. The fans who came all the way to watch his game shook their heads in disappointment. But Kaka himself doesn't really care much about it. Referring to the experience of his previous life, after Kaka became famous, his brainless fans have always believed that he does not know how to play skills, but just disdains to use those flashy moves to sensationalize the public. Whether this is true or not is debatable, but for the current Kaka, he really can't embroider with his feet in the midfield like Zidane and Riquelme, and he can revitalize the whole body with 3 pulls, 2 dunks and 1 pass. There is no way for a team to pass and protect the ball like Kaka at the peak of his previous life. It is precisely because he knows how high a real master is, and also knows how high he can theoretically reach, so even if he knows that he has various shortcomings, he has no great advantage compared with the people around him, but I can't help but have a sense of superiority in dimensionality reduction operations. In his eyes, the Brazilian Serie A is just a novice village, and São Paulo is a training ground for him. His eyes should be on Serie A, La Liga, and the Premier League. His future should be in big clubs like Milan, Juventus, Real Madrid, Barcelona, Manchester United and Chelsea. His main task in São Paulo should be to hone his skills and constantly improve himself. Possessing the elegance and calmness of a classical midfielder, it is necessary to reproduce the glory of the Son of God without being suddenly knocked into the dust at the most glorious time. He stood on the soil of Brazil, but his eyes were fixed on the wider continent of Europe. This is not self-confidence or arrogance, but the moment he becomes Kaka, this kind of thinking will appear unreasonably and naturally on him. No matter where they are, wolves will only eat meat, not feces. Of course, he knows that he is still far from Riquelme Zidane Rui Costa's state of being able to turn decay into magic. He also knows that superb dribbling skills are not just learning a few tricks on the indoor court. He can do it, so he has to polish himself by fighting against more intense professional football. It can be fast or slow, rigid or soft. Keep your feet on the ground and look into the distance. It's a pity that the professional arena is not a novice village, and Kaka is not qualified to let the whole team lead him to level up. Actual combat can indeed promote people's growth, but more people have been shot to death on the grass before they grow up. Being ambitious and farsighted are actually the same thing. The combination of rigidity and softness and slow speed is obviously beyond the standard for the current Kaka. The ball was intercepted again and again, and the team's offense was brought into a dead end again and again. Kaka's image of a genius boy that was quickly established in the hearts of everyone was collapsing at an even faster speed. Hey, kid, is that all you can do? Trash talk is not a patent of the NBA. There are people who owe money everywhere, but such people are not common on the football field. Obviously, Pereira, who is in charge of defending Kaka today, is one of them. I don't know if Kaka's face is too powerful to attract hatred or the opponent wants to play psychological tactics. Anyway, after the opening, the black uncle wearing the number 8 jersey has been chattering in his ears, and he seems to feel pretty good about himself. After successfully defending Kaka a few times, he quickly entered a self-satisfied state. The kind that just can't stop. Kaka didn't feel the legendary rap talent from his babbling slang, but he just thought it was quite noisy. The kind that buzzes like flies. Kaka. What are you doing? Run. Run. Get out of here if you don't want to run. Alvarez stopped being cold and ran to the sidelines and shouted at Kaka in the field. Kaka couldn't hear what the coach was yelling, but he could understand his mood and probably guess what he was yelling. If you continue to play, you will probably be replaced. Forget it, stop pretending, I have a showdown. Sure enough, rely less on your body and more on your skills, you have to have skills. Kaka lowered his head not to look at Alvarez with a livid face on the sidelines, turned around and ran away. Here comes the ball. In other words, it is really inexplicable to have speed but not to use it, and it is not a good thing to be too forward-looking. Kaka caught up with the ball. It is now the 43rd minute of the game. This should be São Paulo's last chance to attack in the first half. I can already foresee the result of this attack. Kaka, who was starting for the first time, didn't hold up to the pressure. He and the substitute came off the bench as two people. We were expecting a Ferrari full of gas, but he was driving a Kaka is accelerating. The Kaka we are familiar with is back. The commentator was obviously talking nonsense. Even if 2 substitute appearances were counted, Kaka would only play for 1 game. Even he himself felt very strange to himself, and it would be hell if others were familiar with it. It can only be said that Kaka at this moment has finally become what people want him to be. Dribble like the wind. Pereira reacted quickly and pulled it as soon as he stretched out his hand, but unfortunately he didn't even touch his clothes. He didn't stand still and stare at Kaka's back in a daze, but chased after Kaka unconvinced. He has seen many fast people, but no matter how fast a person runs with a football, he will always slow down. He doesn't believe the nonsense that some geniuses can dribble faster than running empty, and anyone with a little common sense knows that this is impossible. If there is such a person, it can only mean that his running posture is wrong. This is true, but even Kaka with the ball is not something Pereira can catch up with. After all, how could a fly catch a shooting star? Chapter 21 Meteor fell to the ground, piercing Yang with 0 steps. As mentioned earlier, Kaka's sense of the ball is very average, but because of his previous foundation, his dribbling ability is not bad, but there is still a long way to go from being excellent. People with poor ball feel take the ball, like an engine with inferior lubricants. It can turn, but it is really painful to run. So the current Kaka is actually not as powerful as others imagined. But Kaka with strides activated is different. Fast speed, high stride frequency, good rhythm, excellent distance control, strong combination of man and ball. Throughout the decades before and after the football world, only Kaka can perfectly combine these characteristics, and the striding meteor, as the signature skill of the peak Kaka, has all the above characteristics. In contrast, Rob and Giggs, who are also good at fast dribbling, are more delicate and flexible when dribbling, but their acceleration ability is relatively insufficient, while Dashing and Carlos are like passing to themselves 3 seconds later. It is a bit too wild and easy to play off. Only Kaka's fast dribbling is almost perfect. Not only can he control the football, but he can also use his speed to the limit. It's just that the requirements for his body and talent are too abnormal, so that Kaka looks like this kind of dribbling after retiring. It's also lost. So when striding meteors are used simply and rudely in the form of system skills, Kaka really becomes a star on the court. Bad feel on the ball. Not proficient enough. It doesn't matter, the opponent is not a great master anyway, throwing out the big move without thinking. I dare not say that every person will go straight to Huanglong, but if the timing is good, it will be no problem to push forward 20 to 30 meters in one breath. Even a little kid with no power to restrain a chicken can become a peerless murderer after picking up a gun, let alone Kaka who has gone through more than 10 years of professional training. The striding meteor was like a sharp blade at his feet, and the momentum was like a bamboo, and 3 people in a row killed to the front of the penalty area. Not artistic, not elegant, not delicate, but fast, efficient and concise. It's so concise that it makes people think that numbers can't be watered. Fabiano made quick moves to find space. Sao Paulo ushered in the best chance since the start of the game before the end of the first half preparation. Kaka broke through again with the ball, but this time the speed is very fast. This is the real Kaka. He looks like a fool with his feet tied up in front. Let's see how he handles the ball. What else can I do? Either pass it on or carry on. This is the voice of most of the audience, and according to the Brazilians peeing, they hope that Kaka can continue to take the ball, and it is best to bring the ball into the goal. Kaka is still about 4 or 5 meters away from the penalty area line. Judging from the god's perspective in front of the audience seats and TV cameras, he has enough space to break through and has a suitable passing route. Whether it is a pass or a belt, it is a reasonable choice. Few people see that there is actually a shooting line here. This route requires a quick kick to get the ball around the defender and into the top left corner of the goal. For football to draw such a perfect arc, the player who shoots needs to be calm and decisive enough, his footwork must be precise enough, and his timing must be perfect enough. Unfortunately, Kaka has all of these, and they are almost top-notch. He didn't look like a layman who hadn't touched professional football a few months ago, or a rookie who had just played 2 official games, but a cold machine that had been stripped of all emotion. He obviously does not have a high real football talent, but the moment he stands on the field, he feels that he is born for the game. Although he will be a little nervous and worried, he will never be nervous to panic, let alone worry to uneasy. He can always plan the most reasonable breakthrough route and grasp the best timing for his shot. He is like the big guy who engraved Big Big Wolf on his chest in Lao Jin's works. Under his own BGM, he is almost invincible. He can beat the heroes of the world to cry with a set of Taizu long fist, which is the summoning style of the era. He can also beat the sweeping monk whose skill is many times higher than himself had to vomit blood. He has already shown some basic qualities that a peerless killing god should possess. Blood is warm and heart is cold, combat power is unparalleled, and the stronger. If converted into system attributes, he should have a hidden talent or passive skill, similar to the percentage of all attribute bonuses in the on-the-spot state. Kaka, who was in red, kicked and shot. The football flew along the route he imagined, passing the defender's ear and flying into the upper left corner of the goal. The example is not in vain, 100 steps through Yang. The defender didn't dodge until the football flew over the goal line, the goalkeeper reacted to save it after the football touched the net, and the fans remembered to jump and cheer when Kaka raised his hands and ran to the sidelines. Kaka, goal. This is a wonderful world wave. When everyone thought he was going to pass the ball, Kaka suddenly took a shot. He only took one step to run up and flew away. The football that goes out is full of power, and the angle is almost perfect. We only know that Kaka has a fast dribbling speed, but now it seems that this tall and thin young man is also good at long-range shots. He is like a treasure, can always bring us surprises. There's nothing wrong with Kaka, the treasure boy. Others don't know Kaka's long-range shooting skills, but the coaches and teammates still know it. Many people even know that Kaka is practicing long-range shots and free kicks. Live exclaimed. Fabiano, who was waiting for Kaka to pass the ball, let out a strange cry that he didn't know whether it was excitement or frustration, and then rushed towards Kaka. There is no one sitting on the Sao Paulo bench anymore, and those teammates who were still questioning the head coach Kaka's starting just now are all staring at the figure who is quietly celebrating the goal. The Sao Paulo fans also dedicated their most enthusiastic cheers and applause to the young midfielder who was trotting to the sidelines. This young man with a football style as fast as thunder and lightning seemed a little quiet when celebrating and introverted. He raised his arms, pointed to the sky, raised the corners of his mouth, and looked calm, like a saint bathed in holy grace and praying devoutly, with an indescribable gentleness. In terms of temperament, Kaka has always scored very high. After all, it is something linked to appearance. As long as a handsome person's movements are not too weird and vulgar, and his expression is not too greasy and pompous, he may be able to dig out his nose. She was very personable, not to mention that Kaka still used such a forceful celebratory gesture. 3 games, 4 goals, this kid is a real genius, what more can we ask for? We saw his hands pointing to the sky again. Maybe many people don't know the meaning of this action, but if you know this radiant genius boy was still lying on the hospital bed less than half a year ago, if he had to resign himself to fate whether he could stand up and walk, then you must be as grateful to God and fate as he is. Resignation to fate is of course the result of free translation and beautification of the context. The original sentence is nothing more than a dry statement such as let fate arrange it, and be full of despair for the future. Naturally, it is not as concise and profound as Chinese idioms. A single word can fully analyze a person's state and mentality, but such a dry narration does not prevent the audience from making up an inspirational story with thousands of twists and turns, and then full of interest and respect for this action. This is an action to express gratitude, and it is also an action with a story. Superb skills, good looks, coupled with the tortuous and mysterious experience in the imagination, Kaka's image in the hearts of fans has been further enriched. Gods are all man-made, and so are many so-called perfect idols. Chapter 22 Who will wake him up? For the ancients, being both talented and beautiful was probably the best posthumous word they could imagine for a person. Although it sounds a bit worse than the realm of inner sage, outer king, outer circle and inner square, but if you can choose, appearance and talent must be the initial attributes that people most want to have, and the cultivation, connotation, temperament, and style are amazing, and they can be cultivated slowly in the later stage. Therefore, after the local turtles made a fortune, they always had a special liking for various famous brands at the beginning, and then they began to like to pretend to be elegant when they became more wealthy, and the first thing a woman did after she became rich was often to put a knife on her face and put powder on her body. Gold and silver, no matter how rich they are to a certain extent, they like to try their best to get into the circle of celebrities, probably for this reason. Although the reality has taught us that the boss is the real winner in life, versatile is a younger brother in front of a wealth of billions, but for young people who are not familiar with the world, being talented and beautiful is the greatest truth in truth. Justice. This is also Kaka's current personality. There are Yushu Lin Feng of the idol group and the talented group of the powerful group, so perfect that there are almost no friends. Although it only shined in the final stage of the first half, the performance in the second half was quiet again under the strict defense of the opponent. Half an hour before the end of the game, he was replaced by Burgess by the head coach, but after the game Kaka, the popularity of the show is still crazily rising at a speed that no one expected. With regard to Kaka, there is no doubt that he performed very well, but he can be more perfect. The victory mainly comes from the efforts of the whole team. Who is scheduled to start mainly depends on the state, about the tactics of this game. Currently we position him as a midfielder, but we don't rule out the possibility of arranging him to play in other positions. Let's talk about the substitution in the second half. The post-match press conference of the previous game was replayed on TV. The reporters asked Kaka, but Alvarez wanted to emphasize the team. The two sides were very happy. The preface was full of questions and answers, and the scene was surprisingly harmonious and enthusiastic. Kaka was not interested in this kind of news, but the remaining three members of the family watched it with gusto. Ricardo, you are really famous this time, but I still think you should continue to bring the ball in. It is best to pass the goalkeeper, just like Ronaldo likes to do. The one who spoke was Rodrigue Isaacson dos Santos Right, Kaka's younger brother, a young lady who was not yet 16 years old, but was already as tall as Kaka, who was over 1.8 meters tall. According to Brazilian practice, Rodrigue also has a short everyday nickname, Deegan. The name Kaka was first called out by Deegan. Because he couldn't pronounce the sound Ricardo when he was a child, he called Kaka and Kaka a few times. Now Deegan can finally call it accurately. Ricardo is out, but people call his elder brother Kaka. According to World Soccer, I didn't expect this intimate title between brothers to be known almost all over the world more than 10 years later. The relationship between Kaka and Deegan is still very deep. After receiving his first salary, he did not buy himself a cool-looking car like other young players, but helped his younger brother pay his tuition first. If history does not change, Deegan will also become a professional player in the future, but because there is no system, he has been miserable. The most famous experience is that he was accepted by AC Milan as an emotional investment in Kaka. Although he did not play for the first team, played a few games, but still received an annual salary of 1 million euros. Later, he moved to a few teams, and it seemed that he had no outstanding achievements. But this kid seems to be famous. There are more than 1,000 themes in the post bar. This is probably a typical case of being misled by his brother and having a wrong perception of his talent tree. He has lived under the shadow of Kaka for almost his whole life, and even being able to be the protagonist in the novel is because of being Kaka's younger brother. Reason. It's definitely not a tragedy, but compared to people's expectations of him, his achievements are indeed low. Deegan played as a defender, and he was abused by Kaka since he was a child. It's mainly about your wishes. After all, it's related to dreams, futures, and brotherhood. It's quite troublesome to deal with. It can't be done in a few words. I guess it's going to have to be done by my parents. Let's talk. Of course, the parents didn't know how the evil brother was planning to kill the innocent brother's football dream, and they also discussed the shot. Although one is an engineer and the other is a teacher, in a place like Brazil, it is impossible to survive without knowing a little football. No, you should pass the ball. It's too risky to continue dribbling the ball. Kaka needs space to break through. Even if he can pass a defender, it's too late to pass the goalkeeper. At that time, Luis was in the right position and had already got out of the way. It can be very comfortable. Shot the goal. Bosco focused on stability, saying that Deegan's idea was too idealistic. Hasn't the fact been proven? The shot is the best, and that goal is so beautiful. Simone's idea is actually that the old lady's son is the best, and he does everything right. No, it was a dribble. The football almost went in against the goal post. If it was a little bit off, it would be wasted. Passing the ball is the best solution. Bosco shook his head, speaking earnestly. Yeah, yes, yes. Kaka's perfunctory is obvious. He used to like to compare certain players and coaches, but now after practicing you do what you want, he realizes how much he was at the beginning. Ignorance. Bosco was very dissatisfied with Kaka's attitude, and was about to show the majesty of the head of the family, but Kaka played tricks on Deegan, and found an excuse to slip away. Just played yesterday, today is not suitable for strenuous exercise, so Kaka continued to play small games in the park, practice skills, and find the feeling of feet. The team's training on the second day was mainly to restore physical fitness, but Alvarez did not play against Kaka. Kaka was a little surprised by what opinions Kaka raised in the last game. It is worth mentioning that Burgess scored again after coming off the bench in the last game, and it was a side hook before the end. Although the shooting posture was a bit awkward, the difficulty was close to full marks. This also made his self-confidence very full, because the coach did not arrange any particularly tight training tasks, and everyone was relatively free today, so this guy panicked and kept challenging in one-on-one beside Kaka. Bala like that can't live in peace for a moment. The tone is half joking and half serious, which makes people hate and annoying. Kaka's face was covered with black lines, while the others watched with their feet tied. 4 goals in 3 games, 2 goals in 2 games, efficiency is almost a tie, but in terms of performance. Anyway, if you want to choose teammates, most people will vote for Kaka. No reason, it looks pleasing to the eye, and the ears are clean. Your competitor is Lewis, you should challenge him, always come to me to fuck. Kaka was very annoyed, and planned to make trouble. In the youth team, Kaka was a substitute and Burgess was the main force. But in terms of overall offensive ability, Kaka actually won the game, and what challenges, how to choose. When it's a ring. It is probably because Kaka's performance in some technical aspects has declined a bit recently, which gave this black brother the illusion that I am already better than him, so he naturally said, it's not the same, I think I have recently improved greatly. 3 major illusions in life: the phone is vibrating, he has a crush on me, I am better than him, handsome, beautiful, long, whatever. Kaka didn't quite understand the mentality of this kind of person, so he had no choice but to help him. Which one of you has yellow urine? Come and wake him up. Forget about diabetes, it's not good to be addicted. Chapter 24. History that had gone astray is on track again. Burgess, who searched the entire internet and only said Kaka was promoted to the first team together with a striker, did not know whether he was influenced by Kaka or changed his soul in this life. He didn't change history in any way. Kaka sitting on the bench naturally couldn't. At the end of the first half, 0:1, Sao Paulo fell behind, exactly the same plot. Like all coaches, Alvarez raged in the locker room and then spilled chicken soup, but everyone seemed to be neither awakened by the thunder nor inspired by the chicken soup, and performed as always. There were already boos from the stands. In fact, even if the score of 1 is maintained until the end, Sao Paulo still leads the opponent with a total score of 4-2. Now that there are only 30 minutes left in the game, the championship cannot be said to be sure, but there are still 7. But no one wants to be defeated at the championship ceremony, just like no one wants to find out that the goddess has body odor when she wins the first blood. Kaka. Alvarez didn't hand over the task of shouting to the assistant coach, but came to the bench in person, looking down at Kaka. Kaka looked up. Alvarez did not lay out a lot of tactics and strategies this time. Instead, he turned into a spiritual mentor and directly grabbed Kaka's shoulders. Go up and surprise the world, kid. Nima, this old man, I didn't realize that before. Sure enough, Kaka is going to play. When your team is falling behind and you have a player on the bench who has contributed 5 goals and 4 assists in 8 games, this choice is beyond doubt. Yes, the only question now is whether Kaka will replace Burgess or Franza. The commentator's words also represented the doubts of many people. Franza was the front-court player Alvarez relied on the most before the arrival of Fabiano and the rise of Kaka, but because of the recent contract renewal, he had a very unpleasant relationship with the club. He used to be the absolute main force this season. Share playing time with Kaka. The away victory was brought about by the goals of him and Fabiano, but his performance in the midfield was really not very good in this game. Of course, there is Burgess who is not so good. This guy has strength and potential, and his physical fitness and technical ability are also considered excellent, but his attitude, style, golf quotient and on-the-spot mentality are all very problematic, so he is likely to be replaced. But Alvarez replaced Fabiano. But not the striker Fabiano, but the midfielder Fabiano. Although the name is the same, they are two different people, like daily necessities and daily necessities, don't interrupt and don't interrupt, dear sister and dear sister, can't extricate oneself and cannot extricate themselves, look so scary and look so scary, just sound the same, that's all. In this way, Baptista is left with a single midfielder in São Paulo. When the two defensive midfielders were pressed and beaten by others, can the single midfielder be able to defend? Of course, the best defense is offense, especially for fans who are dissatisfied with the team's offense has reached a certain level. Alvarez's substitution is very popular. In fact, they can't wait for the team to send 10 strikers. They just want to see the ball kicked into Botafogo's goal now. Botafogo had already expected Kaka's appearance, so Kaka was guarded by someone as soon as he entered the field. It's just that it's not enough to make any targeted defense. After all, they have reached the point of breaking the boat. It's all about offense. In fact, the offensive and defensive form of most of the game is that Botafogo has been chasing hard. São Paulo started to be bombarded by the opponent after the tentative attack failed at the beginning of the game, and there were not even a few decent counterattacks. Alvarez's wishful thinking is still very clear. In the second half Kaka came on. Relying on his advantages in speed and physical strength, he can completely launch a deadly counterattack. It doesn't matter if he scores a goal or not. If he can scare his opponent a few times, he will earn money. The opportunity to counterattack came soon. This time it was Ronaldo who blocked the opponent's shot. The captain Cheney, who missed the shot, immediately got up and rushed to clear the ball. The football flew high and came near the middle circle. Kaka held the position, stopped the ball with difficulty under the push of the opponent's defender, then turned around and rushed forward quickly. The voices on the sidelines suddenly became louder. It has to be said that this is the hottest scene Kaka has ever experienced. The eyes of the entire state of São Paulo and Rio are focused on this stadium. Kaka's first breakthrough after getting the ball ended in failure. His change of direction was seen through by his opponent, and he blocked the ball with his toes. Kaka's second reaction was very quick, and he immediately countered and returned the bucket to respond. Of França. São Paulo's formation is a bit confused. They played 3 midfielders and completely gave up the wings. At the beginning, there was 1 midfielder and 2 midfielders. The midfielder was França. After Fabiano left the field, he and Kaka formed. The front court is dual core, and the two not only have to provide shells for Burgess and Fabiano in front, but are also responsible for making a surprise advance and connecting the entire center and front court. Botafogo's formation was pressed too far forward, providing opportunities for São Paulo. França, Kaka, Burgess and Fabiano played a classic combination that broke Botafogo's defense. The score was scattered, and finally Kaka got the ball in the penalty area, and Burgess formed a good situation of double ghosts hitting the goal. The commentator is already yelling, the São Paulo fans have stood up and cheered, and the Botafogo people hugged their heads and shouted no. Kaka was not greedy for merit and passed the ball across. Burgess rushed to the football and kicked the football hard, to clear the siege. There was a sudden silence in the stadium, followed by booing, mixed with harsh applause, which was a thank you gift to Burgess from Botafogo fans. Burgess spread his hands in disbelief like a sand sculptor who was forcibly degraded by the sand sculpture author, with a very innocent look. França lowered her head, muttered something, and kicked the turf hard. Fabiano walked back blankly. Kaka shook his head, revealing the idiot wry smile typical of male protagonists in early fantasy novels, and secretly sighed. I told you a long time ago that if you are ugly, you should read more books. Mr. Lu Sun said it a long time ago, and when you don't know who said something, you can take it as me who said it, ****. Not everyone can complicate a simple problem and make it so complex that it is pleasing to the eye. A problem that can be solved by a simple volley. Why do you play vigorous volley? What's even more frightening is that this is not the first time. Burgess walked back dejectedly. He only thought that he had failed in acting, and he would just seize the opportunity next time, but Kaka knew that his life was over. Burgess' performance in recent times has not been very good. Alvarez as starting this game is not only a bit of a gamble, but also a bit of an investigation. Obviously, the answer given by this black guy who seemed promising at the beginning of his career was very bad. What greeted him later was definitely not the warm encouragement from the coach and teammates, but something that would make people feel cold. A game, a shot, can make a person rise, but also can make a person sink. Unfortunately, Burgess kicked his own future. Chapter 25 faced the gale. It's the 70th minute of the game. Both players were impatient and missed a chance to score. Of course, Sao Paulo had the better chance. Burgess didn't stand the test. Alvarez was playing against the youngsters. I have gained some results in the use of it, but also paid some price. The average age of the Sao Paulo team on the field is only 24 years old. It is normal for any magical and bizarre scenes to appear, but Burgess's mistake belongs to the level of my grandma can score goals. If Sao Paulo loses this game, this guy will definitely be pulled out to death. Everyone started to re-enter the game after regretting it. Kaka quickly established a fact. Botafogo players are tired. The three armies put their lives to the test, pressed the whole game from the first minute, and used a desperate attitude and physical exertion in exchange for an away goal. Whether it is worth talking about is another question. Anyway, Kaka is very happy with what they did. Physical strength is the factor most easily overlooked by off-court fans when evaluating a player. They only care about whether a player runs fast, whether he is good at passing, whether his shooting ability is weak, whether he can jump high or not, and whether he screams miserably. Whether he looks good or not, as for whether he still has physical strength. Unless he is so tired that he vomits or faints, not many people will care, and even if the commentator doesn't mention it once or twice, no one will remember that he has physical strength. This thing. It's not a game, it has a physical strength bar on its head. But for the players on the court, physical strength is too important. Without physical strength, the speed will slow down, the movement will be deformed, and the toes will become soft. The rookie defender who is usually treated like a dog by you may break your ball with just a stretch of foot. Will be poked all over by an inadvertent overhead pass. Obviously, the stamina bars of the entire Botafogo team began to turn red, and their coach also noticed this and began to change players. A winger and a center forward were replaced, a midfielder and another center forward were replaced. In less than 20 minutes, 2 goals behind, it's time to risk your life. And Sao Paulo also started to make substitutions. Burgess went off, Lula came on, and kicked the midfielder. Leaving only Fabiano, Kaka and Franza in the frontcourt is to tell the world that we want to play defense. Welcome to attack, but don't let me catch the opportunity. The formation of the two sides has become very weird. We will not comment on whether it is reasonable or not, but it can be seen from Botafogo's determination to attack. Great Cheney. The Sao Paulo captain made a perfect save again. He looked like angry because the defenders weren't putting much pressure on Botafogo. Wait, Franza is also angry. It seems he thinks Cheney should have passed the ball out the first time after confiscating it. Not there. Educate the defenders of this team. It is not time to delay. Just now there was no defensive player around Franza. Sao Paulo did miss a good counterattack opportunity, and with only 3 players wandering around in the frontcourt, they could only attack slowly from the backcourt. The ball was kicked off from the left, passed by 2 defensive midfielders to control the field, and then passed to Franza. Botafogo's 2 fullbacks began to return to the defense, but slowly as if they had just driven for 3 days and 3 nights. As long as Franza wins the duel, he will have a lot of space to pass and dribble. He did it beautifully, passing the opponent with a simple acceleration change of direction, taking a few steps towards the opponent's goal and then passing the ball. The object of his pass is Fabiano, not the closer Kaka. Fabiano tried to break through the defender to form a single pole, but was stopped. A failed attack. The ball was played from the Botafogo defender's feet and played long and low towards the midfield. Then everyone saw a gust of wind. Scrambled from near the middle circle, past the players who were about to catch the ball, and snatched the ball by the way. The players who catch the ball are already cautious. Without being reminded by his teammates, he noticed Kaka rushing from his left rear. He hurried to the direction of the football rolling, but found that his feet were as heavy as 2 shot puts tied, and he could only watch helplessly. Kaka ran past him, and the number on the back of the jersey got farther and farther away from him. 23. A figure that is being discussed by more and more people. Kaka, a young man who is running faster and faster. Most of the Botafogo people watched helplessly as Kaka snatched the football in their own half, only the young midfielder who had just replaced him chased after him. The distance between the two is getting closer, but as long as you are not blind, you know that Kaka must have entered the restricted area before being caught up. There is not only Kaka's shooting range, but also a current top scorer in the state league. Under the current situation, letting these two dribble into the penalty area is no different from planting two bombs in front of the goal. Kaka's speed attribute is 91, and the dribbling speed is 92 after the skill is added, but it does not mean that he runs faster with the ball than without the ball. No matter who is the protagonist of the so-called running faster with the ball than without the ball, and which famous coach said this statement came from, it does not affect that this statement is actually nonsense, and its fantasy level is only lower than some people never fast forward when watching educational films. But Kaka is indeed faster with the ball than when many people run without the ball, there is no doubt about it. One point to be explained is that the striding meteor's bonus to dribbling speed is not fixed. When he is physically strong, he may add 3 points. When his physical strength is weak, he may only add 1 point. The same is true for the success rate of breakthroughs, which has a very complicated bonus weight, which is completely linked to the actual situation. Back to the game. Fabiano quickly retreated to respond, but Kaka did not try to be brave, and cooperated with him to hit the wall to pass the last defender and face the goalkeeper. The chasers finally caught up with Kaka, but Kaka suddenly accelerated again after passing the ball, and he could only touch the wet 23 on the back of Kaka's jersey when he stretched out his hand. The goalkeeper chose to attack without hesitation. Countless pairs of eyes on and off the field were fixed on the two people who were approaching quickly. Kaka made a very subtle shot with his right foot, as if he was about to push the ball past the goalkeeper's left hand with the inside of his foot. The goalkeeper's eyes were very sharp, and he flew into a cloud of air cleanly. Kaka's right foot swiped across the top of the football, and then tiptoe shot. The football flew lightly from Kaka's feet and fell slowly towards the goal. Even the worst goalkeeper can push it with the back of the head. But now the goalkeeper of Botafogo is lying on the ground in embarrassment, as innocent as a child who has been robbed of the lucky money. Sure enough, I said that playing streetball is useful. The little trick deceived the person who wanted to be deceived, and Kaka was very relieved. The young midfielder who followed him all the way did not give up the rescue, and rushed past him, chasing the football that was about to fall over the goal line. Follow it, catch it, catch it. Can't catch up, can't catch up, can't catch up. Fans of both sides pray together. It seems that the Botafogo people are more pleasing to God. Their substitute player caught up with the football, but Satan made a bad move in the back, and the young midfielder who caught up with the ball rushed into the goal with the ball. 1:1, 5:2, Powerless. Chapter 26 Murumbai's Children. Kaka Kaka. The commentator kept barking like he was stammering, and there seemed to be a sound of slapping the table. The ball is scored. Where did Sao Paulo find such a young man? Now the end of the game with only 14 minutes left, Kaka is getting closer and closer to his first championship trophy. Maybe saying this is disrespectful to Botafogo, but I don't want fate to disappoint this young man. He deserves a trophy. Of course, we also look forward to miracles, because football is round and everything is possible. The football is round, it can roll in any direction, just like the trend of the game, no one can predict where it will roll in the next second, but at this moment, all Sao Paulo fans believe that the football in Sao Paulo will definitely roll to the winning side. Because they have Kaka. From this moment on, Kaka became a real one of my own. He is no longer just a refreshing and interesting rookie. If there is a slight ups and downs in his performance, he may roll back to the youth team or be transferred to the reserve team because the fans do not allow him. He is no longer the dispensable one in the team. Just promoting a potential rookie or buying a famous star can take his place, because the fans don't agree. He became the special one. If he had to use one word to define it, it should be, beloved. Just like Raul is to Real Madrid, like Beckham is to Manchester United, just like Torres is to Atletico Madrid. They may not be the most famous one in the team, not necessarily the one who contributes the most in the team, not necessarily the best-looking one in the team, but they must be the most favored one in the team one. Because they are the children of the Bernabeu, the children of Old Trafford, the children of Calderon. Today, Kaka has become the child of Murumbai. If you are mischievous, you can hit him, but others can't scold you. If you kidnap a beautiful girl from another house, you can dislike him, but others can't snatch him. when I get bored, I wish I could be the first to twist my ears and carry him home. Otherwise, the fans are all idiots, doing some cheap things. Kaka doesn't know how lucky he is. There are tens of thousands of players who can score goals in the final, and countless players who can bring the team championships, but there are only a few players who can become the darling of fans. In the Kaka resounding through the sky, he stretched his arms forward and looked at the sky. Instead of stretching out his index finger and tapping upwards as usual, he put his 4 fingers together and opened his thumb, as if he was welcoming the favor of God, smiling, run. Fabiano was first, then Franza, then Baptista, and many more. In order to avoid being full of big men again, men on top of men, Kaka turned around before Fabiano arrived, stretched out his hands, and clapped one by one. You know. You're the most awesome newcomer I've ever seen. The most awesome. Kaka. Come here, I want to kiss you. Brother, get another one. I think you can get another one. Kill them all. Except for the buddy who wanted to kiss him, Kaka accepted all the compliments from his teammates and satisfied their requests one by one. So he made another one. With the attack launched by Franza and the turret erected by Fabiano, Kaka quickly plugged in and kicked the goal without hesitation. A whirled wave with low strength and slow speed, but an extremely tricky angle. The goalkeeper is beyond reach. 6:2, the overall situation is settled. The referee blew the whistle for the end of the game without waiting for the stoppage time to end. The Botafogo fans had already left the field, and only the São Paulo fans were left in the Morumbi Stadium. Congratulations, Watton. The coaches of the two sides shook hands, and the Botafogo coach congratulated Alvarez in a very gracious manner. But he still couldn't help adding a sour sentence, "You're lucky." Yes, Alvarez didn't deny, "I'm lucky." The two hands shook again, and then one left the field, one entered, one walked into the player tunnel, where there was light, but at this moment it seemed dark and cold, and one walked towards the field, where it was preparing for sunset, but it was like 10,000 suns are rising. Congratulations to São Paulo, they made history. This is the first time they have won this cup. They will then participate in the Brazilian Champions Cup. If they win, they can go to the Libertadores Cup. Congratulations to Veyton Alvarez, his youth army has shown a strong combat effectiveness. Congratulations to Ricardo Kaká, he has once again become the hero of this city. It is hard to imagine that he is only 18 years old this year. As the commentator said, this is the first time São Paulo has won the Rio São Paulo quarterfinals. Making history is always exciting. The fans seem to be having the grandest festival, singing and dancing became the main theme of the city. Alvarez hugged the players one by one, but obviously hugged Fabiano and Kaka for a relatively long time. Heroes are always favored, and they deserve it. Well done, Kaka, Alvarez laughed like a fool who weighed more than 150 pounds. I know you can do it, but I didn't expect you to do it so well. Thank you, kid. No, I thank you, coach. Kaka said. Not every genius can make it to the top. If you meet an unqualified coach or an old man who lacks courage, maybe he is still shining the shoes of the old players. Ha, I accept it, but I still have to say, you are really doing a good job. I am proud of you, but you can do better. Don't relax, Kaka, don't take it at all. Your road has just begun. This is your first championship, you should win more. I have never seen a young man like you, self-disciplined, confident, smart, humble, hardworking. You were born to eat this bowl of rice, but only if you can't relax. Alvarez patted Kaka's shoulder emotionally. Remember, don't fall behind. As long as everyone likes to be praised, no matter whether he is 18 or 38 years old, Kaka is certainly not exempt. He was once considered a successful person and received countless praises and compliments, but the last time he was taken by his elders like this saying with pride and relief that you did a really good job probably dates back to when the composition was used by the teacher as a model essay in the student days and read it aloud in front of the whole class. Oh, forget that many of you haven't had that experience, it's just cool anyway. The most exciting thing is of course the toasting ceremony. Although it is only a champion of the best enterprise level in a township, just like many people who just won a medal in the school sports meeting are as excited as if they have dated Yan Lingji. Xiang Xiaoshuan's São Paulo Youth Army still feels that he is the most powerful existence in the world at this moment. The championship ceremony lasted until the evening, and fireworks were raised on the sidelines and exploded in the air, bright and eye-catching. Chapter 27 Boys must learn to protect themselves outside. On the second day after the game, Thursday, March 8th, Women's Day, Kaka decided to accompany her mother to the supermarket. Of course, for him, the most important thing is that the salted fish system has finally moved. Congratulations to the host for winning the Rio São Paulo Championship and rewarding you with 5 honor points. A skill has 50 honor points, a talent has 100 honor points, and a champion only earns 5 honor points. Kaka, who was originally excited about winning the championship, felt a little bit square at this moment. 10 champions can buy a skill, and 20 champions can afford a talent. When the champion is cabbage? How many people have played football for a lifetime and never even had a chance to touch the trophy? What is the use of this system? Is the champion too small, or does every champion have this number? Honor points, does that person's honor count? Kaka said to the system interface, System. Brother? Grandpa? Little girl? Can you speak up? No response. Forget it, it's better than a real squeak. In fact, it is good that the system is not anthropomorphic, otherwise every time I drive in the future, it will feel like I am doing a live broadcast, which will definitely feel weird. Although I feel that the champion is too small so the rewards are small, otherwise it would be too inhumane for a World Cup champion to reward the same points as a third-rate cup champion, but considering the stupid style of the system, Kaka is really not very stable. Ricardo, let's go. Simone looked at Kaka, who was in a daze, a little worried that her son would play football stupidly. Since the last cervical spine injury, Kaka has become a different person, more diligent and mature, but compared with before, there seems to be something missing between the family. Kaka and them are not as close as before. However, they just regarded it as a person's mentality change after encountering a big change, and they didn't take it seriously after they didn't find any major problems. Kaka turned off the system, put on a white t-shirt, combed her hair like a teenager, and went out with her mother. As the saying goes, the protagonist follows the author, and the son follows the mother. Kaka's father looks very abstract. After being neutralized by his genes, Kaka can still grow into this appearance. It is conceivable that Simone must have been a great beauty when she was young. Well, apart from the fact that the saying is right, this passage doesn't really make sense, but Kaka's mother is indeed very beautiful, even if there are some traces of time on her body. Her figure, temperament and appearance can still kill a lot of young Bichi in seconds. But no matter how beautiful she is, she can't steal Kaka's limelight. They all seriously underestimated Kaka's current popularity. He lived in seclusion before, so he didn't feel much, but after the blessing of 2 goals in the final, he is definitely more popular than Hong Haer in Sao Paulo now. From the moment they stepped out of the house, people kept greeting them and asking for autographs. If it is more than 10 years later, there should be a bunch of more photos and live broadcasts. Only then did Simone and Kaka realize that their family's life had changed. Kaka is no longer that unknown youth team substitute, and he is no longer the kind of super rookie who has just made a name for himself. Everyone will feel familiar when they see him, but he can't even name him. Kaka, yesterday's goal was really beautiful. Kaka. Will we win the championship this season? Can you write a few more words? My sister is also a fan of yours. Tomorrow is her birthday. Thank you, her name is Julian. Kaka, look here, let's take a photo together. My God, you are more handsome than on TV. Kaka, do you have a girlfriend? If you don't have one, would you mind having one? If you have one, would you mind changing? If not, would you mind having one more? Kaka, they say you are only 18 years old, is that true? Kaka was still a little confused. Didn't it mean that crooked nuts are of high quality, and they never make loud noises in public? It's not that foreign stars can casually wear flip-flops and beach shorts on the street. Have you never been afraid of being watched? What's the matter? I am confused, but I still have to sign the autograph, and I still have to take a group photo together, but, shaking hands or hugging is fine, but what is the big deal about you secretly touching my abs, and kissing the face? You go to me, it's unbearable to talk about it. So those who should escape still have to escape. It's too dangerous. Lu Sun is right. Boys must learn to protect themselves outside. Kaka didn't even care about his mother, and hurriedly oiled the soles of his feet before the next group of fans were ready to swarm, which made Simone both gratified and distressed. He is gratified that his kid has made a name for himself, and distressed because there are so many coquettish sluts out there trying to trick his wife and son. So tired. Kaka couldn't live in peace even when she returned home. The phone keeps ringing. Sorry, I don't need an agent right now, I know you are very professional, but I really don't need. I'm sorry, I'm very happy in Sao Paulo, this is my home. No, it's not a matter of salary. I know you can pay liquidated damages, but I really don't want to leave. Advertising? I'm sorry, I don't have the will, it doesn't matter how much money I have, I'm not interested in money. Hang up the 8th call, unplug the phone line before the 9th call, the world is finally quiet. By the way, which Pujia leaked my home phone number? What about the right to privacy? Kaka frowned and decided to play football. This is good for the substitute. I just finished the game yesterday, and I still have the energy to run around today. You can't go to the beach and park, you can only go to the indoor court. It's full of talents. They play well and speak nicely. The most important thing is that they never eat his body. He likes it very much. Just when I was about to change clothes, the Motorola V998 I just bought rang. The only people who know this number are family members, coaches and a few close friends. It was Burgess who called. If Kaka guessed correctly, he should have just woken up now. Good morning, Kaka. Although Burgess still thinks he is more handsome than Kaka, he no longer thinks he is better than Kaka, and he even asks before speaking. Good morning. Kaka looked at the sunshine outside, and it was really early. Well, I'm going to have a party at home tonight. Lula and Opson will be there, and you must be there too. I have some good friends to introduce you to. They are good guys. Don't worry. No, we know you're good on the court, but listen to me, life can't be all about work, you have to learn to enjoy life. Excuse me, Burgess, but you know I'm not interested in that kind of occasion. Come on, man, we just won a championship, how can you pretend nothing happened? That's a championship. A championship. It's not a second or third place like shit. Let's celebrate. Kaka, if I remember correctly, didn't you celebrate at the nightclub last night? What kind of celebration is that? Kaka felt speechless, and Burgess felt even more speechless. Nightclub? Isn't that a regular item? Could that count as a celebration? What else can Kaka say? It can only mean that you foreigners really know how to play. Chapter 28. Good words are hard to persuade the damn ghost. So, are you coming or not? Burgess did not intend to give up the invitation to Kaka. You must know that several beautiful girls who are usually difficult to invite agreed to attend the party after hearing that Kaka would be there. I'm not going. Kaka can think of any show at the party with her toes, and it's impossible not to be tempted, but, what the hell am I still a child? Man, listen to me, it's not right for you to do this, I know you're a good boy, the kind who would get a scholarship if you didn't play football, but... Kaka couldn't bear it anymore, and Burgess wanted to teach him how to be a man. Burgess, is there a rock in your head? It's as black and hard as yours. Kaka's words were a bit abrupt and rude, but Burgess probably didn't realize that he might have already being on the head coach's blacklist made him worry about the opponent's IQ. Hey, Kaka, do you look down on black people? No, I just despise you. The gods look down on black people, how many lives do I have to play racial discrimination? You're not Asian, a sentence of freedom of speech can overthrow it. He is his mother. I just asked you to come to a party. If you don't want to come, don't come. Why scold me? Burgess was very angry, and he didn't think Kaka had the right to mock him. Are you still in the mood for a party? No, it's a party. Kaka was convinced, let me ask you a few questions first. First, how do you feel about your performance after coming to the first team? On a 100-point scale, how would you rate yourself? Second, this championship, how much do you think you have contributed? Without you, do you think the team can win the championship? Third, what is your short-term goal? Or to be more specific, what is the goal for this season? How many goals to score, how many parties to attend, how many models to sleep with? Is it to perfect your shooting ability or how much money to buy? How many cars? Or is your goal just to get into the first team and now that it's done you can enjoy the fruits? Fourth, forget it, it's not fourth, you can answer my previous question first. Kaka was afraid that he didn't even remember the third question. Burgess didn't know how the topic turned to this kind of corner, and after thinking for a while, he said, for the first question, if I score 100 points, I will give myself 95 points. You know, I did miss a few points. A good opportunity, such as the ball you passed to me yesterday. Yes, I still remember that my performance at that time was really terrible, but we all know that it was not my level, I was just unlucky. The second one question, what's the second question? Kaka froze for a moment, not because he overestimated his memory, but because he didn't understand how his score of 95 came about. Probably similar to the standard of 20 points for scoring a goal and 1 point for missing a goal. The second question, do you think your position in the team is stable? Are you scaring me, brother? Burgess' head was not filled with stones after all, and he panicked a little after hearing what Kaka said. Even though he played more minutes than Kaka, Kaka is Alvarez's heart and soul. Maybe Alvarez missed something and was heard by Kaka. Hearing his surprised tone, Kaka finally believed it. This guy felt that the biggest problem with him was that he accidentally kicked a few balls away. In his heart, he still has strength, and his teammates still trust him. Coach, I still love him, his running position is okay, his shooting skills are okay, his mentality is okay, and his attitude is also okay. This kind of optimism and self-confidence that makes people envious and jealous. Let's make a bet, Kaka said, you will either be a substitute in the next game, or you won't even be able to make the roster, and even if you are a substitute, unless you can show a reversal lore or a hat-trick performance. Otherwise, you will definitely be a substitute in the next game. If you fail to score in a few consecutive games, you may even be sent to the reserve team. In fact, Kaka was talking nonsense and alarmist, which made him nervous first, but it didn't seem to have much effect. Brother, don't tease me, I'm a member of the championship team, and I'm the starter in the finals, unless Alvarez is crazy. Well, I know you niggas can be brothers with anyone, but do you think Alvarez is your brother too? They all kicked like that bird and regarded themselves as the stars of tomorrow. Some people are like this. God gave him many chances to succeed, but he never seized one, but fate only gave him a few options to be an idiot, and he was more accurate each time. I just hope that Ade is not as difficult to save as Burgess. Thinking about the current national team, and thinking about the future when his own generation will rule the country, Kaka suddenly feels sympathetic to himself. If you were a striker in Brazil and had to choose between the following options, which one would you choose? A. Compete with Ronaldo, Ronaldinho, and Rivaldo. B. Lead a group of problem children to compete in international competitions. Representatives of problem children, Adriano, nightmare level, in the early stage, Robinho, hell level, in the middle stage, and Pato, horror level, in the late stage. What is the level of the three guys in option A? For a certain period of time, they are the best in the world, enough to lead an era, and let defenders see the three of them stand on the court together and be the best. And what level are you in option B? Have a chance to be the best in the world, but abruptly put yourself in the corner of the football map. If you really have to choose one, the physical education teacher said, 2 short and 1 long, choose the longest. So Kaka chose C. C. Compete with Ronaldo, Ronaldinho, and Rivaldo in the novice period, and lead a group of problem children to international competitions in the peak period. Fun or not? Stimulate or not? But thinking about Neymar, Kaka felt that he was too hypocritical. Thinking about the Chinese team, Kaka despised himself a bit. Chinese team options. A. Under the leadership of China ZX. B. Under the leadership of China ZX. C. Under the leadership of China ZX. So how important is a good prefix? It's like a beautiful girl named Shumo, but her surname is Xiom. So it is still more fun for problem children, although in the eyes of players and fans, the football association of their own country is not a good bird. There are 80 or 100 self-willed geniuses in Brazil every year. The reason why Kaka is so patient with Burgess is to try to see if he can pull this unknown person from the previous life out of the abyss, and take a look at the legendary. Is historical inertia really that awesome? The result of the attempt is obviously not very good. He and Burgess are not on the same channel at all, and the other party has almost no possibility of rescue. It is foreseeable that this previous life entered the first team with Kaka. The little people who didn't leave any special traces at all will still slide down the same trajectory in this life, and Kaka doesn't know if he can escape those suffocating black histories after all kinds of preparations and struggles. If the historical trajectory can only be slightly affected but cannot be completely changed, then his life will be wonderful. The shame of Istanbul, a serious groin injury, the 10 World Cup was left early by Ian, and he was dumped by his wife, and he was dumped twice. TSK, I get excited just thinking about it. Shaking his head and putting all these messy worries to the back of his mind, Kaka casually said a few words and then hung up the phone. Good words are hard to persuade, damn it, it is not unreasonable for some people to be shot to death on the beach by the waves of history. Burgess, out. Chapter 29 The Gun of a Lifetime. Although the communication with Burgess was not very pleasant, Kaka's popularity in the team is not bad. People are in the Jianghu, except for fighting and killing, it is a human accident. There is no shortage of all kinds of demons and ghosts in the financial circle of the magic capital. He was able to get ahead there in his previous life. So St. Paul's group of half-grown children whose emotions are almost all written on their faces are as pure as little white rabbits in Kaka's eyes. Besides, popularity is always directly proportional to wealth, money, fame, etc. From entering from the beginning of the first team, Kaka's popularity has been getting better and better with his performance on the field. Of course, his wages went up along with it. Sao Paulo raised his salary again after winning the championship, this time from 6,000 reals per month to 18,000 reals, and the liquidated damages increased to 30 million reals. In this era, this is roughly equivalent to $15 million. In Brazil, this is a horrific number for a young man who is just over a month away from turning 19. After the signing was completed, the number of scouts who contacted Kaka overtly and secretly decreased a lot. Football is not only a sport, but also a business, and it turns out that it is quite difficult to pick out the leaks from a giant like Sao Paulo. Facts have also proved that Kaka's guess is correct. Burgess was sidelined. He played 2 more games as a substitute, his performance was lackluster, and then he didn't even make the squad, and then he really went to the reserve team to report as Kaka said. This made Burgess Alexander not only start to behave in a low-key manner, but also took the initiative to join Kaka's extra training, which meant that he felt ashamed and brave. But when he started to work hard, Kaka started to degenerate. To be precise, this son of tomorrow who can't wait to spend every minute on the training ground suddenly began to become normal. The reason is simple, the enthusiasm has dropped. No matter who it is, the statistics of 7 goals and 5 assists in 11 games in a mature league like Brazil's Liga are good enough. Kaka's performance these days can be regarded as living up to the adventure bestowed upon him by fate. But after losing the initial freshness, he had to start to face the cliché of can you stay excited when a hobby turns into a career. The older generation always likes to warn the next generation not to lose their ambitions by using their hobbies as food, so it becomes more and more fortunate that their hobbies can become rice bowls. But luck is always relative. How many of those kids who can't wait to skip class and play games now become professional players? Kaka's love for football is sincere and pure enough, but he cannot be equally enthusiastic about boring training. In fact, for a newcomer who has just started his career, Kaka should have had a long period of excitement, far from the level of war weariness of veterans, but his essence is not a rookie who has just grown up, but an old driver who is proficient in the 36 Dongxian styles and has experienced various tough battles such as bathroom.avi, kitchen.avi, uniform.avi, etc. The old driver has experienced delicacies, drinking, but now he has to quit girls, impetuosity, and the internet. It is really too difficult to accompany the turf barbell nutritious meal every day. Of course, old drivers are not only old in driving skills, but also in experience and mentality. Compared with young people who only know how to work hard, they clearly understand which stage of life they are in and what kind of attitude they should use to face and persist. Blind recklessness is not enough, everything has to be fast, slow, deep and shallow to last, and the heat will never reach its peak in 3 minutes. The old driver is slowly completing the transformation from a football fan to a football player. He puts on his driver's license, holds the steering wheel firmly, fastens his seatbelt, locks the rear door, and starts out against the wind. The old driver is very oily, flirtatious and profligate, but the old driver understands better than anyone else. The most unbearable waste in the world is not money but time. So the teammates and coaches soon discovered that Kaka had changed. Although he was still the first to come and the last to leave every day, the excitement that seemed to be desperately desperate all the time was gone. If the training volume of ordinary players is 5, then Kaka's previous training volume was 7, but now, he has finally dropped to 6. In addition to going to the indoor court every now and then to hone his footwork and adjust his state, what he mainly does now is to strengthen his strength and increase his weight under the guidance of his fitness coach, and he also practices free kicks after daily training. Of course, he also needs to learn foreign languages. His English is good, but he only needs to strengthen his oral English, so he mainly studies Italian. As for stopping the ball, heading the ball, and training against foot training, etc., I stopped. Firstly, I was really a bit lazy, and secondly, it was not easy to practice alone. Everything has a purpose. Playing streetball is mainly to polish skills and optimize the style of play. As long as the honor points are in place, Kaka, who has a natural sense of the ball on his body, can immediately become a green magician with a foundation of various fancy skills. This is another kind of accumulated to a certain extent. Gaining muscle and weight is to enhance physical resistance. After all, the height of 1.81 m and the weight of 66 kilograms are too thin, and if the memory is correct, Kaka's height can run to about 1.85. Weight and muscles must you have to keep up, otherwise a random defender who is stronger and fiercer will make him reimbursed for the season. This cannot be slackened. As for the free kick, it is to not waste the talent of 100 steps through Yang. Many people know that Kaka's long-range shot is a must, but few people know that Kaka actually has a free kick. He once had a free kick record in Sao Paulo, but later he was in AC Milan in Brazil. For that kind of team, surrounded by free kick masters, his free kicks will not be able to get on the table. Coupled with his character of not fighting or grabbing, this skill will naturally be abandoned. After all, free kicks are not only about footwork, but also talk about attitude and experience. This point is similar to that of Henry, Batty and others. They have kung fu, but they have no room to play. Ballack, England's double virtue, France's Zidane, Italy's Pirlo, Netherlands' Sneijder, Argentina's Riquelme, etc., which one's free kick skills are not their own. So in this life, free kicks will become one of Kaka's most important weapons, at least not like in the original time and space. He had to rely on penalty kicks to score a hat-trick, and then he would get a nickname for Kaka. World Football once made a special issue called 10 Weapons, which compared 10 forwards to 10 weapons. It is very classic and is an indelible color in the memory of many old guys. Various weapons can also be compared to various shots. Grabbing a point in front of the door is like a dagger, which is fatal and hard to defend against. The violent head is like a heavy hammer, which is as heavy as a broken bamboo. Light and hanging shots are like whips. Waves and clouds are treacherous, using softness to overcome rigidity. As for free kicks, due to different personal skills, they show different styles. Those who pursue speed are like bows and arrows, and those who pursue speed are like shooting stars. Silent and eerie. And all three are like spears. A little cold light came first, and then the spear shot out like a dragon. Of course, the so-called perfection is only relative. The 9-year compulsory education teaches that the straight line is the shortest between 2 points. Theoretically, the fastest free kick should be an absolute straight line. Therefore, in terms of shooting, if you emphasize the arc, you have to give up speed. It is best to use ingenuity instead of brute force to pursue the angle. This is irreconcilable. It can be to keep trying, choose the best from the best, and find a path that suits you best. Kaka's first imitation object was naturally Robert Carlos. This is a veritable overlord gun, with speed, power, arc, both strength and beauty. Can't kick the super heavy artillery that ignores the laws of physics. After all, the legs are not strong enough, and the strong arc kicked is specious. So he could only settle for the next best thing and work harder on his skills, so the object of study became Junior Junio again. Another big player who can never get around free kicks. Unlike Carlos's heavy artillery with very personal characteristics, Junio's free kicks are ever-changing. If you cover people and only look at the free kicks kicked, then Carlos' free kicks may be the first. Time will be recognized, and Junio's free kick may be passed as Pirlo's, as Ronaldinho's, as Beckham's. Of course, as soon as that kick made an S-shaped arc, everyone knew that he kicked it. Of course, a perfect free kick does not exist. This kind of thing is about a person who is just right and good at long-range shots. Kaka used her previous life's vigor to prepare for the college entrance examination and the patience to flirt with girls on campus, and kept practicing and improving, finally gaining some experience. He can barely be called a free kick master, but there is still a long way to go from a master. After all, marksmanship is not so easy to practice. The moon stick, the sword of the year, the gun of a lifetime. This time it was Lao Shi who said it. Chapter 30 The Majestic Derby. The statistics don't lie. Children know who is better, a player with 5 goals in 1 game or a player with 1 goal in 5 games. Statistics are also the most deceiving. Zidane has no assists in 10 games and no one dares to take him for fun. Cristiano Ronaldo has not scored in 10 games. I believe Simeone will not dare to play in front of him again. It is almost inevitable that after entering April, Kaka's data is not as gorgeous as it seemed at the beginning. 8 Bazin championships, 2 assists, 1 goal, 1 penalty created. An average of 1 goal can be created every 2 games, and these 2 assists not only allowed Fabiano to secure the position of top scorer, but also directly brought 2 precious victories to Sao Paulo, and that 1 goal and the penalty kick created was a timely help at a critical time, helping the team tie the score and laying the foundation for the subsequent reversal. After this series of stable and excellent performances, he did not become the main force of the team logically. He still rotates between the starter and the bench, but he will play every game. Kaka had no objection, and was even grateful. He needs to accumulate experience, but he doesn't need to be overcooked. It is clearly written on the system interface that his body balance is only 69, which is a little better than when he first started, but it is definitely not a high number, which shows that his young body can't stand the ravages of a lot of high-intensity competitions. This kind of state where he has the opportunity to level up and has time to sum up and absorb is what he is looking forward to most. There is no need to pretend, the system is a shortcut, but the shortcut is also a road, and it is a steeper road, which can make people reach the top of the mountain faster and fall down the mountain faster. Being down to earth is easier said than done. Alvarez is really optimistic about Kaka, not after a player becomes a superstar. When reporters come to interview him and say I knew he was a genius, I've never seen a kid with such outstanding talent, it's an afterthought. Kaka is cultivated as the cornerstone of the team's future. All kinds of statistics that are not very eye-catching on the field can't explain his state. More and more threatening passes and more tacit cooperation with teammates, and a lot of changes have taken place silently. Attributes are more representative of his progress during this period. Height 1.82 meters. Weight, 67 kilograms. Body balance, 69. Physical fitness, 83. Responses, 85. Agility, 86. Speed, 91. Strength, 79. Bounce, 83. Dribbling speed, 88. Ball handling skills, 81. Short pass accuracy, 80. Long pass accuracy, 74. Shooting skills, 77. Free kick accuracy, 79. Header, 68. Steals, 55. Goalkeeper skill, 50. Teamwork, 66. Talent, walking through Yang with 100 steps. Stunt, big stride. Honor points, 5. Almost all the time that the original spacetime Kaka spent on reading the Bible and praying was devoted to the training ground and gym, exercising scientifically, strengthening in a targeted manner, learning and accumulating experience quickly. Having laid a more solid foundation and possessed a healthier body, coupled with the talents and skills endowed by the system with stronger actual combat effects, Kaka now has the confidence to face any challenge. Kaka is making progress in an orderly manner, and the Sao Paulo team is also staggering forward in various tinkering. Burgess was delegated, and Harrison entered the first team. Although the young man of the youth team did not successfully become the future light of the team under the shadow of Kaka, he still showed good combat effectiveness. And Kaka, Franza, Fabiano's four-man frontcourt attack group led the Sao Paulo team into the playoffs of the Sao Paulo State League. The so-called Sao Paulo State League is the Sao Paulo State Championship in Brazil, referred to as the Bazin Gene. There are 4 places for relegation and relegation each season between the leagues, that is, there are 4 newly promoted teams each year. The Sao Paulo team is naturally in the A1 league and has never been relegated. It is hard to imagine that in a country known as the Kingdom of Football, such an influential event as the Basin Championship has deviated from international football in terms of competition system. This event is composed of 20 local teams from the state of São Paulo. These 20 teams are divided into 4 groups, and each team has a single round-robin confrontation with the other 3 groups of teams. Ba Xingjin does not directly confront the team in the group, and only counts the results. The league ranking adopts a point system, which is the same set of 3 points for a win, 1 point for a draw, and 0 points for a loss. After the 15 rounds of the regular season, the top 2 teams in each group will enter the championship. The championship playoff is a single elimination system, and finally the champion of the São Paulo State Championship in Brazil will be determined. The time for the Basin Championship is from January to May every year. Now it has reached the end of the season. It is the most critical time. After that, there will be the Brazilian Champions Cup, and then the Brazilian Serie A. There may be some other messes mixed in between. The match of Kaka has always been worried that the inertia of history will take him back to his old path, and bear the fate of suddenly falling to the bottom after climbing to the top again, but he doesn't know that he has quietly changed history. If the original trajectory is followed, Corinthians will be the champion of this year's São Paulo Championship in Brazil, but São Paulo's performance is not very satisfactory, and even Alvarez was fired because of poor performance in leading the team. I don't know where the specific inflection point is. Maybe it was a certain steal by Kaka that helped São Paulo escape from death, or maybe one of his assists changed the result of a certain game. Anyway, São Paulo not only entered the playoffs this season, he also stumbled into the finals under the unfavorable eyes of everyone. The common sense of life tells us that the butterfly effect does exist. It may not be as exaggerated as a storm caused by a flap of wings, but many things will indeed have a great impact on the result. For this year's São Paulo State football, the plot direction has been completely deviated after Kaka's big mess. The preseason match of the Basin Championship did not receive much attention, but once it entered the playoffs, the attention level immediately soared to the highest level, second only to top events such as the World Cup and the South American Cup. São Paulo's opponent today is Corinthians. A name that many fans who don't usually pay attention to the Brazilian Football League have heard of it. It has won 24 Basin Championships, 4 times more than São Paulo. It is a well-deserved overlord of São Paulo. It is worth mentioning that in the past 4 years, the champions of the Basin Championship have been held by São Paulo and Corinthians in turn. Corinthians were in 1997, São Paulo in 1998, Corinthians in 1999, and Corinthians in 2000. It's São Paulo. I didn't expect that this year's championship would still be between these two brothers. I don't know how other clubs feel. I'll give you the ball, play slowly by yourself, I won't play anymore. It is said that the enemy of an enemy is a friend, but there is no possibility of becoming friends between São Paulo and Corinthians, who are regarded as life and death enemies by other São Paulo clubs. The São Paulo team has 2 major derby, one is the King Derby with Palmeiras, and the other is the Majestic Derby with Corinthians. In the football world, as long as there is a match with the word derby, it will definitely not be mild. Kaka started the game, and felt the terrifying atmosphere from the first second he stepped on the field. Historical grievances, championship competition, and drama are all there, and the attention of this game can be imagined. Paulista of the Tricolor, the favorite club of the Brazilians, you are strong, you are great, number 1 of the Masters, oh the Tricolor. This is the team song of the São Paulo team. São Paulo's jersey is mainly composed of black, white and red, so it is called the Tricolor team. This nickname is the same as their team song. It sounds like that. Anyway, it doesn't appeal to neutral fans. Look at them, red devils, white nobles, never walk alone. This is so cool, TSK TSK. São Paulo was rubbed by Corinthians in their own half at the beginning of the game. As the most important part of the counterattack, Kaka was not given any defensive tasks. He has been wandering in the midfield waiting for opportunities, and even complained a bit. The team anthem. Then, the opportunity came suddenly, but it had nothing to do with him. The football was directly kicked by São Paulo's defender Lugano to the front of Corinthians' penalty area. Fabiano quickly followed up and was about to catch the ball, but was pushed to the ground by the opponent's defender during the scramble. The referee blew his whistle without hesitation. Foul by Corinthians, free kick by São Paulo. Well, now it has something to do with Kaka.